What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm the Celtic Warrior, Jameson.
Soda.
And I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1 again. I'm at Ref Marsh. We are at WOTR, the show. With me today, oh my God, he's back again. Kevlar's back, you better tell your friends.
No.
Kevlar's
I'm
back.
looking more for Eminem, not Backstreet Boys.
Oh yeah, we could have gone Eminem. I don't know. I've always thought of you as more of a Backstreet type.
Closet Backstreet fan.
Yeah, big time. Guys, it's the other half of the legendary podcasting duo, the IIRonics.
Yes, sir.
Kevlar on the Rocks with an X.
Big X.
Big X. Dude, what's going on, man? You haven't been on since before WrestleMania. It's been a while.
I know. It feels like I've missed a lot and then nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Dude, let's start with something easy, a little something. I dressed up for the occasion. I felt like it was a black tie affair, the return of the IIRonics.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, put on the old blue and black classic. Kev, what's in your glass? What are you drinking?
I am drinking the Stone Cold IPA.
Son of a bitch.
Broken
Dude.
What?
So badly I want to get that American Ale. They're the lager that he's got. I want to try that so bad. Because his IPA...
I was going to say, I might have an opportunity this weekend.
You think so?
Yeah, hopefully.
All right. Yeah. I know that they're starting to distribute a lot further out, but I still feel like that it's still super limited. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Although it's May, so July's coming around the corner. That's typically when they ship everywhere, so we'll see. We will see. Especially because the Broken Skull IPA is probably my favorite IPA. I'm not a big IPA guy, and I really like that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's only a few that I like, and yeah, this is one of them. I'm drinking it, so says something.
I'm celebrating with the return with a little proper number 12.
Oh yeah,
Proper
number 12.
Proper number 12. It's a proper way to celebrate, I think. I'm doing it on the rocks. I'm a little nervous, I'll be honest with you. We found it on clearance, so I don't know why. Yeah, they had a whole box on clearance. Like, they had literally in the clearance section of the grocery store, like 12 bottles. And I was all like, why would 12 bottles be on clearance? It's not like you're just trying to get rid of the last one, right? You know?
Yeah.
It's one thing to be like, oh, we have too much, we have to get rid of some. It's like, no, we have to get rid of all of them.
I wonder if it's because he hasn't fought in a while.
Do you think?
Yeah, I bet it coincides with him not fighting in a while, and
definitely got some negative press from time to time.
Yeah, his next fight, I'm sure they'll be sold out again.
Oh yeah,
and then that stupid grocery store is going to be like, God damn it, we should have held on to it for a little longer.
That's the other thing, is I know that some alcohol can go bad. Like, definitely have had expired beer before, and it tasted such. I don't know about fucking whiskey, dude. Like I don't see anything on here that says like, hey, best by date, or even born on date. You know.
Well, it's an Irish whiskey, dude, and no matter when it's open, it'll be drinking.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I have no idea why it's on clearance. Well, last time we got clearance, this is why I was nervous. Last time we got clearance, I did the cold brew Jameson, one of my favorite Jamesons, and it tasted like straight up butane mixed with motor oil. It was like, oh, it definitely separates and becomes disgusting at some point.
But I wonder if it's because of the cold brew.
That's what I mean. Definitely because of the cold brew.
Irish whiskey. Yeah.
All right. Well.
Drink it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Should have sent it over here.
We have a smidge of Irish in our descent, so we'll roll with that.
Yeah.
Kev, it's been a while, man. How have you been doing?
Good. I'm glad COVID's over.
Yeah, we beat it. We won.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah, I mean, life's good. Like I said,
Good.
feels like the world's completely different, but the same at the same time.
Yeah.
Like this
Absolutely.
weird paradox.
I mean, I'll just say because it happened, everyone's talking about it, but it's not definitely the tone of our show and not what we're here to talk about. But obviously, there was that horrible shooting that happened like yesterday, and I mean, obviously, it's tragedy and horrible, and nobody's happy about it, and we hate it, and we want everyone to be home safe every night. And I don't know what else there is to really say about it because we're here to talk wrestling and have a few drinks with some friends. You know what I mean? Anything you want to say?
Yeah. Yeah, that was basically it. Just a sad day, you know, for a coward like that to target children is absolutely despicable.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably like you always kind of want to make sense of stuff, and I'll be honest with you, so many more of these stories as they happen, I just get further and further away from understanding at all any of the mentality, and that's probably a good thing that I don't get it at all. It's as senseless and stupid as anything, you know?
Yeah, I'd be concerned if you're like, oh, I understand it now.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
not around my kids, bro.
No. I mean, even because we grew up during Columbine, even during that era, it was like, oh, they bullied these kids, like terrible decision making all around, but kids fighting back, right? We're at a point now where it doesn't feel like bullying is even a factor in most of these. It's just crazy senseless, and I don't get it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And my thing is, like I said, you know, it's innocent children that are targeted now.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like,
when you're going into an elementary school.
If it's the kids that are bullying you, then, you know, I could, you know, like you said, I don't want to say I understand where they're coming from, but it's like, all right, but innocent kids, like,
so far removed, it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. But like I said, the news is covering that just fine, and you and I have always used wrestling as our escape, and I think we're going to continue to do that and escape into wrestling at least for a couple of hours, and just talk about what we like and what we're here to do, which is hang with our drinking buddies. Yep. Oh, I should open up our chat. Oh, yeah, people are in the chat.
The last thing I will say about that is, you know, obviously, hope the kids can rest in peace, and the parents and family members, friends that are grieving right now, deepest condolences, and hopefully one day they will find peace as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sportsbeards in the chat says Kev lives and says loves the old school ref outfit and says he says that Irish whiskey does not expire. That's what we're gonna find out. I think I'll be a test dummy yet again. I'm like looking at it, being like, is that like a small film? Is that from ice? Like, was it from the cup? Like, I don't know what's going on here.
Fuck, it might be just cheaper just to throw it in your car and drive to work.
And Fabtina says some of the flavored ones expire. Yeah, 100%. Some of the flavored ones, because the flavoring and such, and the sugars involved in that. So, no, it tastes fine. It's a little stronger than I remember it, but, you know, it's been a while since I've had just straight up Irish whiskey on the rocks. Proper 12. Proper number 12.
Proper number 12.
Let's see. It's just nice. It's nice when it hits the lips. You feel it go down the old, go down the rib cage. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on to wrestling news. I don't know if you saw this. Stephanie McMahon. This was announced, I think, after we did our show. She's stepping away. She's decided to, or no, I think we did talk about this briefly last week. She said she wants to take more time with her family. And I see a lot of people online are speculating a lot of stuff about what that means and what it's really about. And people were saying that they felt like Stephanie McMahon was the biggest vocal advocate backstage for the women in general. I'll say none of us really know to begin with. But I'll also say that very rarely do you see reports about Stephanie being backstage or involved in creative at all. I don't know that the push for the women's division in the creative room is largely impacted by her presence. I think I'm venturing to guess probably not as much as people think. It's not like, hey, Stephanie's gone, therefore that's the end of that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, people overreact fucking everything nowadays.
They do.
You know, yeah. You know, it's the end of the world. Oh my god.
You should have seen people's response to Edge getting a haircut.
You got that Rhea fade.
Yeah, you got a Rhea fade, and people were losing their minds. I was like, God, it's a haircut.
It's a fucking haircut, guys.
Yeah.
He's just not the same.
Yeah, people saying stuff like, it's not the same, it's not what I'm used to, it's going to take a while for me to get used to. I'm like, it's a fucking haircut. I even made a comment online where I was like, with the amount of people in the IWC that bitch and moan and complain about every single name change, Raquel Gonzalez became Raquel Rodriguez, and people lost their minds about it. Why would they do this? How could they do this? Edge gets a haircut, and they change their mind.
I was a little disappointed about that name change.
I've known a number of women who have gone through name changes and haircuts, and I'll be honest, it's not the end of their life or career.
Well, I just wanted them to call her Giant Gonzalez.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a good one. You don't have Giant Gonzalez with Rodriguez. Giant Rodriguez doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't. Sounds awkward.
Maybe that's what they were trying to avoid.
Right?
Yeah. As soon as she shows up on the main roster, they're all like, oh, who's going to be the first woman to call her Giant Gonzalez? And Vince is like, that's it.
That's it. No.
Off the table.
Grab it.
Change the name. We're not going down that.
We're going Garcia or Rodriguez. Which one?
Yeah. Get away from it. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably it right there. But go ahead. What do you think about Stephanie taking it? Do you think she actually wants to spend time with her family? Because no one seems to believe that.
Heaven forbid somebody want to spend time with their family.
Yeah.
I mean,
no way.
Good for her. She's in a position where she can do that. If, when the reports first came down that she was stepping away to spend time with her family, I got nervous. I thought it was to change Triple H's diapers. Like, damn, he deteriorated quickly.
Right.
But, all joking aside, who the fuck is anyone else to say, one reason or not why somebody should spend more time with their family? Yep. If she wants to, let her. Kids grow up so fucking fast, and, she's in a position where she's like, hey, I'm spending too much time at the office. I could, I want to be involved in my kids', art projects or school, performances or sports programs. Fucking let her.
Yeah.
And congratulations,
and to be honest,
good job. I'm proud that you can do that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing too, like how far she's come. But if you also want to just scope out for a second, realistically, what for at this point, right? So for a long time, the company was family owned. It was Vince McMahon. You know what I mean? It was gonna be who's gonna be the heir to the throne? Is it gonna be Triple H? Is it gonna be Stephanie? Is it gonna be Shane McMahon? That was always the thing. Now with Nick Khan in power, and with all of the parsing of the licensing throughout different platforms and stuff, the company is becoming less and less under one singular mindset umbrella. Maybe she scoped out a little bit and just said, hey, it's clearly not going to Hunter because he's not going to be able to handle it anymore. And he's made peace with stepping away and being involved less. Probably not involved at all. I would imagine he's going to be involved in some way, but probably in some of the lesser stress ways. And maybe she's all like, what are we doing? What are we doing and why? If it's going to ultimately be a public company and it's ultimately going to be the decision of the corporation and the board members, then it's not like it's just going to be handed over. And has she established her legacy as a businesswoman? I think so. Yeah. So maybe, take a bit. Yeah. And maybe she was just flat out jealous of Hunter in some way. You know what I mean?
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Maybe she saw him, hey, after his heart thing, step away and, be with the family. And then she's like, well, I want that. I can step away. They're not going to miss me, you know? And like I said, it's fucking awesome that she can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. All I know is the IWC is certain that she would never want to spend time with her family.
And yeah, exactly. And it's
impossible to understand or believe.
Yeah. It just upsets me that she's going to lose sleep at night wondering why on Twitter that she's walking away. All these people bashing her.
It's nuts. It's nuts, dude. Just in time in the chat. Cheers to Just in Time. He says, cheers to the return of Kevlar. Clink, clink.
I'll cheers that.
But, yeah, I don't know. The IWC is so fucking wild, too. I like the amount of people who were so mad at Vince McMahon for saying on the Pat McAfee show that they don't listen largely to Twitter, that they keep an eye on what's happening on Twitter, but it's not their number one impact thing. And people are like, oh, look, he's not listening to the fans. Mm-hmm. Becky Lynch was trending yesterday because of 1,500 tweets. First off, that's probably not 1,500 separate accounts tweeting once.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Secondly, you're talking about 1,500 tweeting about a show that had close to 2 million viewers. It's ridiculous to think that he would put the highest onus of responsibility of listening to them on those that are tweeting and not those that are showing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, 1% wants to be the majority. You know,
always.
Hey,
they took our finances and now they want our wrestling.
Like,
Occupy WWE.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are, like, so, I don't know how to word it, emotionally invested. Mm-hmm. Like, we love it and we're invested. Like, you know.
That's what makes it fun.
If not, we wouldn't be doing this fucking show, yeah. But there's people that are, like, you know, I've heard it with actors, too, that people, like, legitimately think that, you know, the bad guy in the movie is seriously like that, or the show. And they get death threats and, you know, and it's like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, calm down, people. So, you know, maybe the IWC is like, hey, this is my voice, and he's not listening to it. I can't reach them any other way. Like, I'm pissed off.
And there's also a difference between listening to a voice and a criticism and following up on, right? So you can definitely listen to it and say, oh, it seems like there's a section of Twitter that is really unhappy about this or believes that. Maybe we'll use that down the line. Maybe we won't. Maybe that's not going to be... Maybe I'm not going to respond to every tweet. You know what I mean? Like, not getting a response doesn't mean you're not being heard either.
Oh, yeah. We haven't gotten responses, and I know they've heard us.
There's no way they're not listening. There's no way there's not. But Bruce, thanks for coming through and having a drink with us, Bruce.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers to Bruce Pritchard, constant listener.
Yeah. Bruce in time. You know who you are.
Yeah, it's definitely Bruce in time. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And speaking of Becky Lynch trending yesterday, so we talked about it a little bit as we were prepping for the show. You haven't been on for a while, so you haven't seen the week-to-week on everything. You watched WrestleMania, you watched WrestleMania Backlash, and you caught up this week. So you've missed a lot of things in between. I don't remember if you watched much between WrestleMania and Backlash. Did you?
A show here and there and clips, like, not
just
much.
Little bits.
I'm a casual fan at this point.
Yeah, he's casualing it up, just seeing what it's like to be a casual for a minute.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. Spending too much time with the damn family. Something's wrong. I don't understand Stephanie.
As soon as she fucking out of your mind.
Trust me.
Get me
Trust
into
me.
wrestling. She'll be back, guys.
Yeah,
Believe
she's
me.
coming back. No doubt about it. So Becky Lynch was trending because Sasha and Naomi had walked out, left their women's tag team titles on the desk of John Laurinaitis, head of talent relations, as WWE so pointedly pointed out in their statement, and said they weren't respected as tag champions and left. Since then, they've had a bunch of... WWE's gone out of their way to make sure they're mentioning what they feel. And they feel that, you know, it was an unprofessional and that it let down all the fans. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But I will say that now the rumor going around... before I get your take on Sasha and Naomi actually walking out, or maybe we'll lump it together, is that Becky Lynch is at fault because supposedly, according to this rumor, which I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really buy into or make sense of, but this is what they're saying, Kevlar, if you can believe it. Okay. That Becky Lynch did not want to lose to Asuka in a one-on-one match. So she forced them to do a 6-woman matchup, which then in turn put Naomi and Sasha into the match. all because they're saying Becky Lynch did not want to, quote, do the job, as us WWE marks like to say. We like to all talk like we're in the business and like we get it. Like losing one time makes you doing a job. But it's actually funny because when you think about it, a lot of the old timers, when you hear them do podcasts and stuff, almost never do they say I had to do the job. They'll say that they did the honors.
Oh yeah.
But the wrestling fans go, "You did a job, jobber."
Yeah. Well, because the old guys, and maybe it's because their career was over at that point, but they looked at it as a badge of honor, like respect, like it
meant something.
Hey, I put this guy over. Yeah, I helped him. Like somebody else helped me down the way. Like the Jedis. You have your mentor, and they boost you up, and
then you cut him down.
Sometimes,
like Anakin
sometimes
and
you turn on him and kill him.
So it's got to put him down.
Sometimes you don't.
But so they're saying that she refused to do the job because she just won't job, which is, I mean, if you just watch Becky Lynch on TV, you just know it's just not true. I mean, even look at the 2019 Rumble. She lost to Asuka then in a tap out. Like, she didn't have to tap out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's all sorts of... So, but either way.
Well,
so they're saying that put...
Well, not back then, but a lot of times, how many times you see, them pass out instead of tapping out.
Yeah, exactly. She could have done that.
Yeah.
Right?
Didn't Charlotte do that at Backlash?
Is that how she did it? Did she pass out? No, I think she tapped out.
No, she did.
Because of the chair thing. So, they're saying that because of that put Naomi and Sasha in the situation where then they end up having to walk out, which I think is already a gross overstatement of what that situation is and means and what do we really truly know anyways, right? The other rumor then going in is that Naomi was going to win that match. So again,
that blows my mind.
Yeah.
How is anyone that has been completely underutilized for the bulk of her career all of a sudden is going to get another, high opportunity moment or, highlighted moment, and then she just walks out on it? Like, that'd be if that's true, that'd be the stupidest thing that Naomi could ever do.
Which is also why I think there's a lot more to it than what the fans are talking about online. I mean, it's got to be more complicated than that. You know what I mean? Like, it can't be as simple as... And that's what I mean, like, for people to blame Becky on that anyways. And because what ended up happening that night? You ended up with Becky Asuka 1-on-1, and what ended up happening? Becky lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, let's theoretically say Becky didn't want to lose to Asuka, which she's had no problem doing before. Matter of fact, if you watch The Rise of the Man, she constantly lost to Asuka. Asuka was the one who had 100%. Becky's number.
Yeah. And she literally, when Becky announced she was pregnant, handed the title to her. If she could have literally, on her way out, because, obviously they knew that she was pregnant and that that person was going to become the champion, she could have literally handpicked somebody. Like, no, I'm not going to hand it to her. But she did. She literally handed the title to Asuka.
From my understanding, which is very little understanding, she picked Asuka to win. She wanted to hand it to Asuka. At 2019, she wanted to lose to Asuka. I don't think she was supposed to lose to Asuka initially in the 2019 Rumble pre-show thing. Not pre-show, but, prior to the Rumble. That she was that she asked to do that. We've also heard in interviews that she asked to lose to Shayna Baszler at that Mania match during the pandemic. That she asked to lose. Like, it's just wild that people are blaming Becky at all. But
100%. I think she understands the business a lot more than a lot of people, and she, for that to come out, I think those people are just, trying to start something for their hatred of Becky or their jealousy of Becky. And I think that's all it is.
100%. That's all it makes sense. Nothing about any of their rhetoric is making any sense.
Yeah. And I could be 100% wrong, but that's my opinion, right?
Yeah. So talking about Naomi and Sasha, there's a lot of people who are going on and on about if you support WWE in any of this, that you're wrong and it's horrible and all this stuff, right? I'm not saying I think that what WWE is doing is correct, but I'm not saying that I think what Sasha and Naomi did is correct either. I think it's a mess no matter how you cut it. And I think that WWE has set precedent time and time again that walking out after being advertised is one of their that's one of their biggest soft spots. They went on TV, and people even said, like, oh, if it wasn't, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole much because we're of no position to truly talk about it, but a lot of people are saying that it's race specific, that if they weren't black women, this wouldn't be happening. And all I can say to that is, if evidence has shown us anything, the only people they buried in the past were Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart are the ones that come to mind immediately. CM Punk, I believe they did too. So all I'm saying is that they haven't established a history of strictly pointing out minorities in these situations, right? They've called out their top stars at the time.
Yeah.
Regardless
but the thing
of...
that gets me with that is, I think it's an easy scapegoat. Just say, oh yeah, it's race. Everything's race. Oh, this was a race, blah, blah, blah. Like you said, we're not going down that rabbit hole. But the other thing is, if that was the case, they wouldn't be the fucking women tag champions right.
Maybe, and I mean, I guess you could always make the argument that maybe if they, maybe they're going harder on them because of, right? And I don't believe that to be the case, but I don't know. And at the end of the day, what I am saying is that historically, when a top star has walked out, they've gone on record and buried them on TV. Gorilla Monsoon, when Ultimate Warrior no-showed a live event, a house show, untelevised.
Not even a premium live.
Not even a premium live event. What would you call non-premium?
Unleaded.
Unleaded live event. An unleaded live event. Ultimate Warrior no-shows. Gorilla Monsoon goes on TV and says he's indefinitely suspended. He's indefinitely suspended because he no-showed the fans. And there's nothing worse you can do than no-show on the fans. They said it was unprofessional at that time. They also said that the only way he was going to be released of the suspension, they would immediately lift the suspension once Ultimate Warrior agreed to a performance bond, an appearance bond. That Ultimate Warrior would have to front money before any event they advertised him for, and he wouldn't get it back unless he showed up. That he would, on top of whatever he was getting paid, he'd have to risk his own money, likely, if you're just thinking about business, likely larger than what he was getting paid. So it was like, you either lose more than you would have made, or you'll make money effectively, right?
Yeah.
They did that to Ultimate Warrior, one of the biggest stars in the history of their business, right? Stone Cold walked out on Raw when he was supposed to go up against Brock Lesnar, and The Rock came out and cut a promo on him. Vince McMahon went on TV that week and said that Steve Austin took his ball and went home. He said that the only unpardonable sin you can commit in our business is, and that's their business, not ours. Our business is being fans, right? The only thing that you can not be forgiven for in their business is no showing the fans and letting the fans down. As far as business goes, business is business. But as far as Vince McMahon's belief to his responsibility towards the fans is there's no greater concept. And people can make their arguments that they think Vince McMahon doesn't like the fans, doesn't care about the fans. But I don't believe any of that, first off. And I do believe that Vince does hold those beliefs. That if you let down the fans, that's not okay. If you let down Vince McMahon, that's a different thing, right? With that in mind, I think I understand both sides in that regard, right? Like, they just had released a Boston Glow t-shirt that was selling out of sizes as soon as they put it up. You had a bunch of girls in the front with their Naomi shades on, glow shirts on, you know what I mean? They're wearing the boss rings. You do have a big fan base that was hoping to see you that night, and they thought they were going to, and then they didn't. So in that regard, you let down those fans who showed up for that, right? And whether or not people want to say that... Go ahead.
I was going to say, and, that's the thing that gets me is, it always says it on UFC, WWE, boxing, card subject to change.
Yeah.
And that's for, things out of the athletes or performers. Damn it, I lost the word. But out of their capabilities or,
out of their control.
Control,
injury, travel issues.
Yeah. 100, a bunch of different
flights
things.
Delayed. Yep.
Yeah. Illness. Like, it does happen.
Yeah.
But when you choose to, you know, basically turn your back on, especially the fans in attendance, like that, yeah, I'd be pissed if I was a fan, spent my hard-earned money, and hey, this is gonna, this match is gonna happen, or these guys are gonna be there. Great, like I want to see that,
Yep.
and then they don't show up. Well, what happened? Oh, they decided they didn't want to show up. Then I feel like a slap in the face personally that they, chose not to be there.
Yeah.
Were they?
I did see one fan who was in
with...
attendance tweeted saying that he understood what the company meant because he went there and was excited to see them, and when he didn't see them, he was really confused. And when he went online and saw what had happened, he was really hurt. He said it sucked.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I'm not saying what they did was inherently wrong, but I did feel like I was shortchanged there. And then that guy was getting raked in the fucking comments and stuff. And you're like, dude, he's just expressing how he felt. He's not saying that they're bad people or that they had no reason to. He's saying how he felt in the moment, right? Like, because in defense of... Go ahead.
And out of those people that were giving him shit about that, how many of them were at that same event?
Yeah, and how many of them pay to go see the show anyways?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you pay to, to go see a certain product, and that product's not there, or that performer's not there, you're gonna get pissed off, and that's the way you lose fans.
It's definitely a way you lose revenue. And the other thing too is that it's different to watch from home every week. It just is, because we're used to watching home. Sometimes it changes. Oh, this changed. Oh, that's weird. Oh, that changed. There's a different feeling you have when you're in the audience. You're excited about seeing this person or that person. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you don't know if you're ever going to get the chance to see them again. How often do they come through our town?
Maybe once a year if we're lucky.
Once a year if we're lucky on a live show, and every time we see the card, we get excited about seeing those people. And if somebody else shows up, we think, how special is this? And when those people doesn't show up, we've always gone, that sucks. I was really hoping to see them. Like, we feel bummed that we didn't see them. And whatever the reason being is what it is. But if we heard that person showed up to the venue, was ready to go, and then just said, I'm not doing this, and walked out, we'd have been pretty upset.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a different feeling you get when you're there.
Yeah, they were legitimately there. They didn't get sick. They were healthy. They chose not to perform.
Yeah.
And, I might get backlash for it, but to me, this feels like, I have no idea the real reason. And as fans, we're just speculating. But to me, this is the second time Sasha's done this. After she went on her hiatus with, after, what was it, Mania 2 years ago, I think it was? When her and Bayley lost the belts?
Yeah, it was a couple years
3 years ago, maybe?
3 or 4, yeah.
And I understand, hey, get your mind right. That's cool. It wasn't this extreme, if you will.
Yeah.
That she was there and supposed to do it. Like, hey, I'm taking a break. But to me, it seems like now that it's the second time, that whenever something doesn't go her way, she throws a fit.
So that is a narrative that's out there.
And
people are saying
sure,
that.
And like what I was going to say is I could be completely wrong, but it's starting. The trend is starting, rather. I'm not saying I feel that 100%, but I can see, like, if this happens a third time, obviously it's like, all right, she thinks she's bigger than the business, and she's throwing a fit because she's not getting her way. That's terrible.
Right. And like you said, the perception is out there that that's the case. I don't personally hold those same feelings, but at the same time, there's a certain point where you start saying, it starts to muddy the other stuff, right? So when she went away after 35 to get her mind right, and she's been open about her mental struggles she was having at the time, her loss of identity, her loss of sense of self, and how important it was for her to reignite her sense of value, who she was as a person, who she was as a character. She was ready to quit the business on whole when Vince McMahon told her, no, take your time. She was only supposed to take like a month or something like that, and she ended up taking like 6. And the company was accommodating in that regard. for whatever
This evil
reason you want to.
corporation.
Right, and let's take the negative path. Let's say they did it strictly because they see her as a cash cow and they didn't want to let her go. There was nothing genuine humanity about it. Let's just pretend that that's the thought process, because none of us know, right? And we can pretend either way. Regardless, the company did that, whether it was for selfish gains or not. And when she came back, they made her a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, it was a big deal when she came back, and she was in big, high-profile matches, and she's won championships since, and she's headlined WrestleMania since. Like, so regardless,
I mean, there was no immediate backlash from the company when she came back.
Yes,
like she wasn't buried and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. So let's say it's for negative feelings of making money off of somebody, and not from an inherent belief that they believe people are humans, because that's the narrative that's out there, and I think that it's probably the other. I don't think it's there was an evil thought. But let's say all that stuff was true, right? And so she takes that time off and gets better and does what she needs to do to take care of herself, and that's exactly how that went, and that's what I believe happened. And then this happens here. People are going to look back on the other one, and then it's going to muddy that narrative on that one, right? Where now people have a reason to second guess. Was that actually true at the time? Which I believe it was, but some people may not anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? People could easily say, well, this time she walked out because she was unhappy with creative. So how do I know that what she said last time was true? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that I think that, but I'm saying I understand where someone might point at that and say, this is getting fishy, right? It does muddy that water, and I think that with as important as it is for people to take care of themselves, you got to do stuff not to muddy that water either down the line. But I'm also not saying that she needs to stay and feel disrespected. That's what I mean by I think this is a really complicated case, just because I don't want people there who don't want to be there. I don't want people there who are feeling like they're forced to do things they don't want to do. I think there's also probably better ways it could be handled by both parties. The other thing we know about Ultimate Warrior and Stone Cold when they walked out is they both went on record several times since then saying they wish they hadn't done it that way, and that they felt it was unprofessional at the time. And in the heat of the moment, they thought it was the right thing, but in hindsight, they really wish they'd handled it completely different. So it also makes you wonder if down the line we're going to see something like that. You know what I mean? Is something going to happen down the line where we see a shift? You know what I mean? Where they say, you know what, maybe you shouldn't have walked out that way, but maybe not. You know, and that's all I'm saying about it. I don't know. I don't think Becky's to blame. I think even if the idea was the match was going the way that it was, and they were unhappy with how the match goes, I don't think you blame Becky for that. I think everybody made their own decisions, and they're continuing to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's tough. It sucks. It all sucks because WWE's coming to town, to our town in 2 months. Two of our absolute favorites are Naomi and Sasha. Naomi's the reason Producer Lady even watches wrestling. And I don't mean like she's only invested in Naomi, because I've seen a lot of people say, well, now that they're out, I'm not watching it anymore. Well, that's not our stance, but at the same time, Producer Lady wouldn't have been a fan of wrestling if it weren't for Naomi drawing her in. So that's her number one.
Everyone remembers their first, I don't know, grab.
Yeah.
Like the first superstar that you gravitated towards.
Yeah.
You know, and
And every time we've been to any live event, whether it be televised or not, Producer Lady, without fail, grabs her Naomi glasses, her Naomi shirt. She would wear her glow shoes, and she was going there saying, I'm going to be outwardly supporting Naomi, regardless of if she was meant to be there or not. Like, if you watch Rumble 2019, you can see her right there, second row, the whole show, Naomi glasses on her head. And then when Naomi jumps on the thing, when she's like climbing on the barrier, you can see Producer Lady right there screaming and yelling with her Naomi shirt and glasses on, because she couldn't believe she was that close to Naomi, right? It's a little bit of a bummer to think that right there, sandwiching around my birthday, we potentially were going to Smackdown and a live event, and we're not going to be able to see Naomi. You know what I mean? Like, that's a bummer. That's a letdown. And who's at fault? I don't know. Right? But it is a bummer either way, and people are going to feel disappointed either way, and you can support someone and be disappointed at the same time, I think, is the second part. You know?
It's clearly Becky that has nothing to do with it.
Yep. Becky's fault. Either way, I know you want to talk about that a little bit, and I know it's still the talk of the town, but we can get into the shows a little bit more, too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Was there anything else news-wise that you thought had come out that you wanted to hit on?
The only other thing that I saw recently was about Hacksaw.
Yeah, he's battling cancer again.
Yeah, that he came back. So
Yeah.
just cheers to him and fight.
I keep this right here because of
Keep on
Hacksaw,
fighting.
if I'm being honest. My little
Yeah.
U.S. flag. Oh.
No.
Yeah.
Stick your tongue out to the side.
Yeah, 100%. Get better, feel better. You beat it once before. Keep kicking out, Yeah, meeting Hacksaw a couple of times. He's one of those dudes where, as you're talking to him, you go, I think we would be friends. Like, that's just how cool he is with his fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's relatable.
Relatable. Absolutely. It's still one of the favorite moments that Klump had meeting a wrestler was meeting Hacksaw. We went to his show here in town, and we did the VIP thing and got backstage and got to hang out with him for a bit. And Klump basically blushed, dude, because Hacksaw sees him, kind of like slaps him on the chest. He goes, big boy. He goes, that'd be fun to get in the ring with you. And Klump just like blushed. He's like, oh, God. Just an amazing guy, man. Amazing.
I can see it, too. That's
yeah.
hilarious about it.
Klump's a big dude. He's a big dude.
He is, and I can... Yeah. See him getting all blushed out and childish, sheepish. Like.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So get well soon, Hacksaw. We need that match to happen. We still got to get that. We still got to book it. So
yeah,
we'll do it Goldberg style. Hacksaw will just like do a shoulder tackle and hit him in the head once, and we'll be good.
And Klump will actually have a concussion instead of Goldberg or Hacksaw.
Yes. Yep. Well, let's talk about it a little bit. You've been gone for quite some time. What do you think so far? And we'll just talk about things a little bit broadly as we go. We're just going to kind of knock out a bunch of it because this has been catching up with Kevlar. It's been kind of like breakfast with my dinner with Andre or my breakfast with Blassie. Like this is my catch up with Kevlar. Mm-hmm. Catch up like KETCHUP. Catch up with Kevlar.
Get it all over everything.
Yeah. What do you think about this Bloodline story? It's driving Sportsbeard mental. He cannot handle the Bloodline being the ones. And I think it just makes him a 2.
It's so weird because our age of generation, when you were number 2, you were the shit, you were top dog.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to be like, oh, yeah, you're number 2, you're just shit. Like, it's like, yeah.
Dude, like, I laugh. The first couple times I said, you the 2s, because we the 1s. I just laughed so hard. Dude, I love it so much. You the 2s, we the 1s. Actually, on After the Bell, they explained where we the 1s came from. They said they were backstage talking about stuff, saying we the ones who go to every single live event. We the ones who are carrying this tag team division. We the ones who keep going out there, elevating the tag team. We're always tag team of the year. We're in matches of the year. We're the ones carrying all this. And then they said, that's it, man. We're the ones. We're the ones. So that's what we the ones means, is that they're putting in all this work. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to look back and say we could have done more. We skipped out on these events. They go to everything. And Corey Graves even said that so much so that they live it, that they had done it was after Raw. They had done like a main event thing with Raw. They closed the show, and as they're in like Gorilla, Corey Graves walks back there and just kind of says over to their shoulders, says, "Hey guys, we need you in the dark match. We got to get you back out there." And he said, without even turning around to see who it was, they said, "All right, man, no problem. Give me just 2 seconds. Let me prepare myself." And then they turned around and saw it was Corey, and Corey said, "Dude, I was just messing with you." And they went, "Oh, okay." Like, they didn't even think twice. They're the ones who are always going to step up and step up to that level and be there for them. And I just thought that was really cool and a really cool little anecdote. So I don't know, keep going.
Yeah,
they the 2s, they the 1s.
They're the workhorses. But if you're the 1s, you have to have the 2s because you got to go against somebody.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like it. Like, I feel very mixed about this.
Yeah.
You know, the Bloodline storyline, the unification of the tag titles. Because I've been gone for 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's been.
And
I feel like
it's been 84 years.
It feels like a while. And I feel like we're in the same exact spot. Like, nothing's changed. Like, nothing's progressed. So I could see where people are like, yo, like, fucking let's move this along. Let's go. You know?
I like that. I just want to say this about it. Watching every week, I keep thinking like, oh, the nuance. Oh, they're carrying the story. Oh, it's working. Oh, I love all this. Like, I love it so much. At the same time, when we took a break from watching wrestling for a long time, one of the things I did is CM Punk still the champion? Yeah. So there's something to that, where it's all like, feels like the same. Is Cena still on top? You know what I mean? Like, those are conversations that we would have. Who's the champion? Cena still? Okay. Just checking.
I'm not interested.
Right. So I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're 100% right. That mentality's out there for sure.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, with Roman, with the Universal title, he's approaching 2 years, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, I'm not saying he just needs to drop it quick or anything like that, or, you know, instant gratification type of thing. But it's like, this is what I'm saying, where I'm in this, like, weird paradox where I've been gone for a couple months, and I feel like I haven't missed anything in this storyline. Like, it feels like it was literally the last episode of Raw or SmackDown that I watched, and I haven't missed anything here.
Huh.
Excuse me.
And I feel like there's all sorts of cool little things you would have missed, but when I think about it, it's nothing that you have to check or you're missing.
Out and,
like, there's been awesome stuff, and it'd be like, oh, this would be cool, you would like it, but then you go, well, will it change what's happening right now or how I feel about it? No. It was just awesome in the time.
Yeah. Did it actually progress the storyline that you thought it would?
It dragged it on. You definitely extended
it. And, you know, since we're on just the Bloodline storyline, the unification of the tag titles, like, just as a fan, because I'm a huge Randy mark, love the dude.
Yep.
Riddle, I've liked him for a while. And, you know, the pairing, they seem like one of the hottest commodities, if you will, on, you know, both programs. Like, I don't get where they're going with them from here. And then especially with Riddle coming out here saying, well, that might be the end of Randy and RK Bro.
What a segment to open up Raw, right? Because it really sounded like he was giving a farewell to Randy, and I was like, is he going under surgery or something?
Yeah, and I was like, that can't... Because then I was like, you know, because he's like, oh, he could barely walk, and then I think Andre, and I'm like, you know, I'm not thinking Randy's going to die, but I'm like, is this his last match? Because I'm not going to say it was a shitty match to be his last match, but Randy Orton, of all people, need to go out on his shield type of thing. You know?
Yeah, there's way bigger ways to put down Randy than a main event on a SmackDown for a tag title.
Well, he's a snake. You got to cut his head off.
That's a good point. Do you think you do it Val Venus style?
No. I sure hope not. We're in the PG era.
That's a good point. Can't go back.
Val Venus wouldn't have a career nowadays.
Much different career. Only Venus.
Yeah. His matches are only on OnlyFans.
Yeah, 100%. Like Enzo. Just kidding. Enzo's on MLW now. But we will talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, I think that can't be Randy's last match. It does make it sound like they're giving him a big farewell. I know a lot of people were really hoping that the Usos would not hold both titles. I know I was thinking that it would be a good way to start a little bit of dissension in the Bloodline. But once Paul Heyman was like, if they don't win this, they're out of the fucking Bloodline, I was like, okay.
They're winning it. And that was the thing that got me. Being away for so long and then watching that and then hearing it. And then I'm like, all right, like, it's not going to happen. And then, you know, it obviously didn't.
And then, the thing about Paul Heyman and his it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler thing, if you go back and look, it's always been true. It always has been a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
So when he says it now, you go, what's the likelihood that this is the time that they actually create
This the one?
dissension? Yeah, is this the one that actually doesn't turn out to be true? For something like tag titles, you go, no, I don't think that's the one that they're going to do that on. Like, because when that happens, when he finally says it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler, and then he actually is wrong, that's going to be a milestone.
It's going to be big, yeah.
And
and that's the thing that got me is that they were building it so much around Riddle and his disrespect for Roman, and I was like, oh, this might be the launching point of Riddle and, into the main event thing and stuff like that. And I like Riddle. I'm a Riddle guy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Go for it. But then one of the things that irritated me while I was out was stupid Drew McIntyre coming out and that spooky night in the castle thing that they're doing or whatever it's called. And he tweets out, oh, I can't wait to wrestle or fight in front of everyone in the castle for the WWE or for the Universal title or whatever he said.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And I'm like,
yeah,
bro, literally you could have tweeted anything else out.
Yeah.
But for him to sit there and say that, if that comes true, like, fuck, it's going to make me hate McIntyre even more.
Dude, I've been so tired of the sword thing. And Beard's stance is that I need to view it the same way Hacksaw brought out a 2x4. I said, except Hacksaw used his 2x4.
Yeah. And Hacksaw was gimmicky as fuck, and that was the whole thing. And they're trying to say Drew's like this Scottish warrior that we're supposed to take serious. And, Hacksaw was Goofy, the comic relief. Like, he brought out a fucking 2x4.
And do you remember when he was the TV champion in WCW? Because he was the janitor who found it in the garbage can?
Yeah. He was like, I love Hacksaw, and I'm not trying to shit on his career by saying any of that shit. Like,
no.
People might twist it. But he
loved it.
Yeah. And Hacksaw knew his role.
The way that people love R-Truth. And I'm not saying we don't love R-Truth. We love R-Truth and Hacksaw in a very similar vein where it's all like, I love when they come out because I'm about to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know what you're getting. It's day one of WrestleMania. Like,
mm-hmm.
we know what we're getting. We know what to expect. And when it's with Drew with that, so you can't, like, to me it's apples and oranges type of thing. Like,
yeah,
that's what I said. Out there. He broke the fucking ropes with it.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, and he swings it at people like he's going to murder them. I do want to say, because I realized I forgot it a minute ago, I meant to say it, Bishop from TW Takes podcast, although TW Takes is a bit of a defunct podcast at this time, but I say never. Bishop did come through and say group hug, so cheers to Bishop, and definitely group hug to him. There it is.
Yep.
I'm always happy to see him come through. And I keep this right here, dude. Like, it's real close. My TW Takes iridescent sticker. And producer lady was just asking last night as she was getting ready. We're packing up to go to Alaska this weekend to spend some time with Beard one-on-one. And she was looking at her TW Takes shirts, and she's all like, man, how's Bishop doing? And I was like, I'll tell you. So, good dude. With Drew, he hasn't been on the last couple of weeks, and I in honestly the most respectful way possible, I haven't missed him. I haven't missed him yet, and I think that there's potential there, right? Like, I think he's very good at what he does. I think that there's a lot of goofiness in some of what he's doing, and I also think that. I mean, I remember how we felt when he won the Rumble. We said this is his time. Like we were saying before, why isn't he in the Universal title picture?
And I wanted it. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So as much as we shit on where the character's going right now, it's not for lack of ability of that performer. I do want to say that.
No.
So
yeah.
I do think that they're. Go ahead.
When I said I hate McIntyre, I don't hate the person. It's the gimmick and where it's at, and
I hate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Bloodline stuff that's been going on. Have you? I feel like this week was a little bit lighter on the Sami Zayn with Bloodline stuff as specific. Were you catching a lot of that or no?
Yeah, I saw it in I forgot who said it, but he's the liaison of the Bloodline and stuff.
So for the past few weeks, Sami Zayn's been trying to regain his credibility with Roman, and he wants his tribal chief. He's acknowledged him. He wants the tribal chief to respect him, and he wants to do right by him. And he was saying things like, "Oh, Shinsuke's got this issue with Roman." And he's like, I don't want Roman to worry about it. He's got bigger fish to fry. I'll take care of Shinsuke, but I need Roman to know I'm taking care of it. And Paul Heyman keeps being like, oh, yeah, I'll tell him. Don't worry about it. Okay. So Shinsuke's been coming out, calling himself the locker room leader, saying he's speaking on behalf of the Bloodline. And then he'll say, like, I'm not directly speaking on behalf of the Bloodline, but I can safely say that the Bloodline would prefer this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Sami Zayn's a goddamn gem. What have you thought so far? I mean, we had the Shinsuke versus Sami match here. I feel like we had just a small snippet of Sami Zayn celebrating backstage after the Roman Uso segment. And then on Raw, he teamed with the Usos, but they didn't have any kind of promo leading into it that would lead you to believe, like to understand significantly why if you've missed the last couple of weeks. Did you catch what was happening there, or how do you feel about it?
I was, a little confused because I thought it was Sami being Sami, like trying to be the leech that he is onto anyone's, storyline or gimmick type of thing. And I thought it was funny. And then when they actually tagged together, I was kind of confused. I was like, wait, is he a part of it? Like,
yeah, I love it. I want him on a Bloodline shirt. The second Sami Zayn's on a Bloodline shirt, I'm buying 3.
Well, I thought when I first saw him in the Bloodline shirt, I'm like, why is he wearing that? And I was like, oh, did he, copy and paste himself into the Bloodline shirt? I'm like, oh, that'd be fucking great.
I made one. He hasn't used it. I made one with him in the shirt. It was great.
Damn it. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. I see where Sami's been with different aspects of his career and, different gimmicks. And I think it fits perfect. Like, I like it. And everyone, or not everyone, we've said that they've always needed a fourth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially if you take it from the realm of they have all the tag titles, they have all the top titles. Someone should collect both the mid-card titles, theoretically. And I know a lot of people have said, and I do not disagree with this, but a lot of people have said that it should be Solo Sikoa. He's currently in NXT. He's the younger brother of the Usos, and he is absolutely phenomenal, dude. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see him yet or not, but he is fantastic.
Has he gone by a different name?
On the indies, he may have, but definitely not in any version of WWE.
Okay, because, I haven't seen NXT in a while.
He's amazing. If you just trust me on that one. I did a bit of fan art for him once, too, because he did one match in particular where he was in... It was pretty cool. He did like Umaga face paint, but he only did like half of his face in it, so it kind of reminded me of a mix between the Usos doing their half face paint and the Umaga face paint. So it was like a meshing of the two of them. Well, and it was really cool. So I did a drawing of him in that half face paint with kind of his head down and a picture of Umaga kind of like behind him. And when I tweeted it out, he literally followed me and messaged me and like thanked me for the art. Thought it was great. And so like, super nice dude. He doesn't have to go that far, right? A lot of people like it, retweet it, or not even acknowledge it. He reached out. Like, I thought...
Acknowledge me!
Right? I mean, and to be honest, when you do fan art, that's all you can hope for is just a little bit of acknowledgement. Can you just at least tell me you saw it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
even just a like, and, whatever.
Exactly. And you know what? Naomi's always been great on that, too. Sasha Banks shared one of my drawings once, but Naomi's always, made a comment or retweeted, and the Usos as well. So that whole family, as far as I'm concerned. Paul Heyman retweeted one of my drawings of him. So as far as I'm concerned, they're the ones. You know what I mean? Like,
Do you think it? So if Sammy's the fourth, or what was the guy you just mentioned?
Solo Sikoa?
Oh yeah. If he's the fourth that gets the mid card titles, do you think Heyman's the one to get the 24/7?
Oh, that'd be good. He'd make a great
How
24/7
awesome would that
champion.
be? Right.
Yeah.
Like,
it would be.
Like,
It would remind me of when Bad Bunny had the 24/7 title and Damian Priest was always behind his back, and people were like, "All right, I'll leave him alone."
I was gonna say, yeah, like the little weasel going around. Hey, he wants to fight me for this. No, not today, Junior. Type of thing. Like, I'm just saying, if they're going the undisputed era route, where they get everything.
Yeah,
Literally
I could see
everything.
that. I could see that. I mean, I don't know where else you go from, and that's what I was saying before about the possible dissension of the bloodline. Do we really need it yet? I don't know. I'm probably ready for a little bit of a shift with it, but I've been liking the ride, so it's a little tough to say. But I'm loving this edition of Sammy, and I could see Sammy getting the Intercontinental Championship and then trying to come out with the bloodline, like saying, like, look, guys, we all have, and like just being a whole thing where they're like trying not to, but at the same time being like, it doesn't look bad, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
It's funny, I was watching it with my son, and Shinsuke and Sammy came out, and he's like, yes, I don't know who to root for. And then the match was going on, and I don't know who he thought it was, but midway through the match, he realized that it was Sami Zayn. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I want Shinsuke to win. I was thinking to myself, who did you think it was? Like,
yeah,
clearly
who did he
wasn't
look
one of
like?
the Usos or Roman, yeah. Like, because you had to recognize the shirt. And I was just like, all right, let's go Shinsuke.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't get along with your kid very well.
Yeah.
Didn't they give him a Sami Zayn figure just to upset him?
No. You're thinking of a different kid. And you might have given him the Sami Zayn thing, but he liked Sami Zayn then.
Okay. I remember for a while getting the kids all sorts of different. I remember getting your kid a Charlotte toy, an Elite Charlotte, and I remember your kid literally looking at it and went, "Oh, here, Ma, you can have it." Gave it to his mom.
Yeah. I don't want this.
I was all like, "Hell yeah!" And I was like, "But you see, your Becky and your Asuka need someone to beat up. So here you go."
Yeah. And the Sasha was there too, and
I think Alexa, yeah, probably a Bailey, but
yeah, there's a Bailey there. But yeah,
they got to beat up somebody.
Yeah, this one thinks she's gonna win all the time, Mom. I don't want it.
Yeah, guess what? Not in my house.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I've been loving everything Sammy's been doing, and his matches with Shinsuke have been great. And I love that he's kind of bringing back the 10 count thing.
Yeah.
I hope that he leans in like he did during the pandemic era, where he starts saying like it's much more difficult to keep someone on the outside for 10 seconds than it is to keep them down for 3.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, just going back and forth between this match and the main event of Raw with Asuka and Becky.
Yeah.
Was I hated that they finished kind of in the same way. But Shinsuke and Sammy pulled it off so much cleaner and better.
Mm.
Like, it was like Sammy rolls in and boom, Shinkasa. And I was like, fuck yeah. Game over. And then, the end of Raw, obviously we'll get there, but that was kind of a botchery.
It was a little bit, but part of me was like, because Sammy and Becky have like tweeted at each other here and there. And part of me was wondering if it was like just a little bit of a nod of like she's taking coaching from Sammy or something. Like it was. Oh, yeah. I got a kick out of that. But yeah, this was amazing where they tried to get each other counted out, and then right as Sammy runs in, he catches the shin or the knee to face, as it were, Kinshasa. Like it was, the timing of it was so fucking good that I was like, holy shit! Like I was caught off guard watching it. And I was like, oh shit!
Yeah. Because it wasn't televised. It was like he didn't do the thing in the ropes. Sammy just rolled in and then boom.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Just blindsided him. What do you think of the Happy Corbin stuff? So we had the happy talk with Happy Corbin, where he's really talking shit on Madcap. They replayed twice that he crushed Madcap's neck in the chair with the statue. Then he beats the shit out of the award and holds it up over his head. What do you think of this presentation of Corbin?
Like, we knew it was gonna come here, or come to this. Like, you know, they were gonna be together, have a falling out, blah blah blah. They've kind of even teased it before I even left, where Madcap started telling jokes about Corbin, or Corbin was the punchline and stuff. And you know, we knew it was gonna happen. Truthfully, I did not like him destroying the Andre trophy. Because to me, it was not so much a dig at Madcap as it was almost a dig to Andre.
Yeah, I didn't love that. Either, just because like they always show zoomed in the etched names on it, whether they're there or not. And part of me was a little like.
Yeah, to me, it's similar to like the Stanley Cup, where there's one trophy. It's not, you know, so much there's a replica. And Corbin made reference of it that, oh, this will match the one I have at home. But it's like, wait, it doesn't, because, like you said, the names are different, the nameplates and stuff like that. And to me, it'd be like if you took any other award that was named after somebody and destroyed it. Are you really slapping the person in the face that was the recipient of the award or the award itself? And that's where I kind of was like, if he used it to, you know, just do the whole neck thing and hurt Corbin, I might be okay with it. But for him to actually destroy it, that's where I was kind of drawing the line.
Yeah, because if someone destroys the Vince Lombardi Award, no one's saying, "Oh, it's disrespectful to the Giants" or the. I'm just gonna say the Giants because Shake's friend of the show, newest member Shake's huge Giants fan. So I'm gonna say like if the Giants win the Super Bowl and someone destroys the Vince Lombardi Award, no one's saying like, "Oh, that's disrespectful to the Giants." They're gonna say that's disrespectful to the legacy of Vince Lombardi.
Yeah, and that's almost what happened when this past year, or not this past year, but last year. Tom Brady had it, and Tom Brady was clearly, you know, a couple sheets to the wind. Like, he was wasted, and he threw it from boat to boat because they didn't have the traditional parade; they had the boat parade. Yeah, you know, he threw it to Gronk, and everyone's like, "Oh, you know, oh my God, that's disrespectful. What if he dropped it? What if, you know, he, you know?" And it's like, you know, okay, so that's not on the team; that's on to the trophy. Disrespecting the trophy.
I gotta ask. Exactly. When Tom Brady threw it to Gronk, did it have a perfect spiral?
Well, no.
Oh.
It's not just a football. It's got a whole base to it. Plus, Tom Brady was drunk as fuck.
Can you imagine if he held it though by the football part of it and like tried to throw it like it was a football?
Laces and yeah. And if it rotated like that, Gronk probably would have dropped it. I mean, you got a football coming with the fucking huge ass fucking foot. Broke his fucking hand.
No, Gronk would have caught it over his shoulder while looking back. He'd have been no problem. Boom.
But that's where I'm coming from. Yeah. Where everyone was like, "Hey, that was disrespectful of Tom Brady," knowing that there's, at least I think there's Lombardi trophies, I would imagine, because I think they have them displayed. Cardinals don't have one, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah. But I would imagine there's replica Lombardi trophies. But the level of respect or disrespect that Tom Brady showed in some people's eyes by throwing it.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that when Gronk caught it, he didn't Gronk spike it through the fucking boat into the fucking bay.
That's funny. Boom.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting though when you mention it, because I see a lot of people, including quote in quotes reputable dirt sheets, as I like to say, who were shitting on the segment in general, saying that because Michael Cole had said that the Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner has gone on to launch a number of careers, and people were like laughing at it, making fun of it. Oh, it's never made anybody. But realistically, when you look at the list of the winners of it, it's people we all typically respect and regard very highly. You know what I mean? Like, you could say the same about the Intercontinental Championship. It's gone on to launch a bunch of careers. Did every Intercontinental Champion win the world title? No. But are their careers legendary in their own right? Yeah.
Yeah. But and if you notice when they refer to the IC, on how many Hall of Famers have held that.
Yes.
You know, they don't say that to the world, and obviously not the Universal, but they don't sit there and say, oh, the world has been held by this many Hall of Famers, because more Hall of Famers held the IC than the world.
Yes.
I think. I'm coming to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But
now,
I would imagine that's the case.
Yeah. And when you look at it, like the first winner was Cesaro in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
How did his career go afterwards? His career after that was great. Doing the tag run. People are upset that they didn't re-sign him. They couldn't come to negotiations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could argue that the winning of that of that battle royal was the highlight of his singles career, launching him into tag team stardom. You know what I mean? Like, Big Show won it after that, and everyone felt like he needed to. You know what I mean? Corbin won after that in 2016. He's had a hell of a career since then. Mojo Rawley, you could argue that was a highlight of his career.
So.
Matt Hardy, Hall of Fame career, no matter how you cut it. One of the winners of it. Didn't start his career. Braun Strowman in 2019 definitely started his singles run up into the Universal Championship. Jey Uso.
Yeah, I mean, with Strowman, it separated him from the Wyatts.
Yes.
He won it.
Yep. Jey Uso, during the time when they were calling him main event Jey Uso, definitely solidified him as being a singles threat, which they still carry around, and they made main event Jey Uso t-shirts. You know what I mean? Like, it was during a time where he needed to solidify himself as a single star, and this is one of the ways they did that.
I'm just glad they're not making any more of the left-handed stranger shirts.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then you got Madcap Mouse right now, which until this particular win, he was seen as a lackey to Corbin and part of the Corbin team, right? Like, this solidifies Madcap as a solo act, right? So, although I'll say, yeah, we've had 8 winners, not all of them have gone on to win the Universal Championship, but none of them either. And you could make the argument that these were identifiable moments of pushing someone's career. So just the idea that someone would laugh at and make fun of the idea of it in general. Look, they didn't walk around with that trophy for very long, right? And it makes sense. But I agree with you. There's a certain point where, at the end of the day, it's meant to memorialize Andre, who was the king of the battle royals because he was in so fucking many of them because he was a giant. Territory Days concept, but yeah, you're right. It feels a little more disrespectful to the trophy than it does to Madcap. But you're gonna have a hero Madcap come along and hopefully take down Corbin and reestablish that trophy as being something of importance. Would be the hope, I suppose, right? That's the difference between sports entertainment and NFL, is that there can be a story of a good guy reestablishing credibility, right?
Is that WWE admits that they're scripted?
Dude, people get so mad at me in my real life when they're talking about basketball teams and boxing matches, and I go, well, tell me the story. And then they'll kind of lay it out. I was like, okay, so this person's going to win in probably this many rounds, or this game's going to go in probably that many. And they're like, why are you saying that? I was like, because it's all wrestling, dude. That's the story that's going to make the most money. And then they always tell me I'm full of shit. They hate it. And then when it actually pans out to be the case, I'm like, at least wrestling is honest.
Yeah, it's sports entertainment.
Yep.
And you give them the wink. And but the other thing I was going to say real quick about that is with Big Show winning,
Yeah.
the Andre. If I remember correctly, and I could be way off, but I think this was the only Battle Royal Big Show won in WWE.
That's probably right. Because he never won a Rumble.
Because I think I remember watching it, and they kind of made mention to it, and I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding. And it's not even a Rumble, it was just a Battle Royal. Yeah. And I was like, well, fuck, he's got to win it. Like, he has to. And of course he won, and I was like, I played right into your cards, but for that to be, his only one, then, yes, it didn't launch his career, but at the same time, like you said with Matt Hardy, it solidified it.
Yeah, it definitely made an impact. And I think that if you were to ask Big Show about highlights of his career, I don't think he would completely ignore winning the Andre the Giant trophy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that would be something. He may not say top 5, but I think you'd be hard pressed to have a top 10 from him where he didn't mention that win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Andre meant so much to him as a person and as a performer.
He was Andre's son.
Yeah.
It's his dad.
Anyone who watches WCW knows that.
Yeah. This is no different than Dominic winning the tag titles with his dad. It's a proud father-son moment.
Yeah, it's his namesake, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. There wouldn't be no the Giant without Andre the Giant.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I will say we talked way more about Happy Corbin and the Andre the Giant Battle Royal than I think I had anticipated. So we'll move it along a little bit.
It was good content.
It was. Wasn't Corbin's promo there fucking awesome though?
Yeah, it was.
Like, I was actually legitimately, with no jokes, impressed and surprised at how good Corbin was telling that story.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I didn't think he was capable, but because they don't always allow him to dig in that way. And I felt like he really was like, you guys keep forgetting that I'm really good at this. You know what I mean?
And even when he went to the replay, the video replay, and he's like, just luck. And he played into it. The segue into that was so great. And by the way, once again, watching with my son, he saw that, the chair spot and stuff, and he goes, "Did he kill him?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes, he did."
There's a really good
he's
chance.
Not there tonight. Yeah, I think he's dead.
Yeah.
He's like, "Wow."
I don't know if they showed the part, but Baron Corbin, as they were putting Madcap Moss into the ambulance, he said, "Have a fun trip to the Moss-Biddle."
Oh, really? They should have put that. That's awesome. I did not see that.
Yeah, you missed the good one.
I'm bummed I missed it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was pinnacle humor, too, because they've been doing all these puns the whole way, and then to throw in Moss-Biddle, brilliant. Yeah. Art. That is art.
Yeah. He's an artiste.
Yeah, an artiste. Drew Gulak versus Gunther. I don't think you've seen... Did you see Walter in NXT or NXT UK?
Yes. I'm very familiar. Because I watched... It was a pay-per-view that we watched where it was... Oh my gosh, who was it? It was Walter and somebody, and it was just strong style like crazy, like the slapping of the chest, and both chests were beat fucking red.
Was it Ciampa? Did you see that one?
I don't think it was Ciampa.
Oh, you know what? It was older. It was the NXT UK Championship. It might have been Pete Dunne. I think it was Pete Dunne.
I was gonna say Dunne, but
because Dunne dropped the title to Walter that time.
Yeah, I think it was. Pete Dunne.
Well, Pete Dunne and Walter both rest in peace. We have Butch and Gunther now. But yeah,
and Butch and Gunther need to be a tag team.
Dude. God. As much as I want to see a third member of Imperium, and they haven't called him Imperium, but you have Gunther, you have Ludwig. We need a third because we want them to go up against the Fight Night, or whatever they're calling them, because they keep changing the name of Fight Night with Sheamus, Ridge, and Butch. I want so badly.
Fight Night, I was confused. I was like, that's fucking stupid. Especially when Butch had his match, and he came out to Sheamus's everything. I was like, yo,
That's
like,
true. That's true. They
come
need
on.
to separate them a little bit.
Yeah.
Fella! Yeah, I'll give you that. But to circle back a little bit, Drew Gulak versus Gunther. What do you think about this?
It was pretty much exactly what I would expect, seeing Walter versus Drew Gulak.
And how do you feel about how they're showing off Gunther at this stage?
Well, this is my first taste of him as Gunther.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. Like, you know, build him up. Big dude. He's in a lot better shape than he was as Walter.
Yes, true.
He's a
I'll
lot
say
trim.
this. My greatest disappointment in the Gunther Ludwig teaming is that they let Timothy Thatcher go. Because Timothy Thatcher was originally part of what they called Ring Conf in the UK. And it was Walter. I want to say it was 4 of them. It was Walter, Timothy, and the 2 other members of Imperium. This would have been a perfect spot, especially if you're not going to bring up Bartholomew. I don't know what happened to him. He didn't come up with them to the main roster. They kind of wrote him off on NXT, and it makes me think that we're going to see at some point that his contract's expired and he's done. I get the impression he just doesn't want to be there anymore. This would have been a perfect spot to put Thatcher in because he fits so well with these guys and their theories and their presentation that it would have been absolutely perfect to do a 3-man team Imperium with Thatcher, Gunther, and Ludwig. It's my biggest disappointment of it, is I love everything about what they're doing and feel like it's still missing an ingredient. I don't know how they fill that void, you know?
I mean, they're creative. I mean, you know, I think, you know, we talked about it earlier about the brand separation and, you know, as much as we don't want to see it on the phone, not in the show, but the only positive, if there is a, you know, dissolve of the brand separation, is Survivor Series will actually be Survivor Series, where you would have Fight Night versus Imperium. You know, you'd have the Bloodline versus the RK Stoners.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it would be, because I loved Survivor Series. Growing up, random tangent, once again, this is what the show's about. Growing up, out of the 4 major pay-per-views, Rumble was always my favorite. And, you know, followed by WrestleMania because WrestleMania is WrestleMania. But Survivor Series was always there. I always thought SummerSlam was very lackluster and I wasn't a big fan. You know, it is what it was, but when you compare them to the 4, it was the bottom.
Yeah.
But now, to me, like, Survivor Series has easily taken the bottom of that. And even if you say the top, because aren't there supposed to be 5 now with Money in the Bank? Like, you know, Survivor Series is the most lackluster, boring, premium live event in WWE right now.
And build.
So
I would say build's more so. Because I think they usually show up on the matches. The matches are always great, but the build there just feels like static.
Yeah. And it's pointless. Outside of bragging rights, it's pointless. No storylines continue for the most part. Like, it's pointless.
Yep. And they don't even brag. They have bragging rights, and then they don't brag.
Yeah.
You won the right to brag, and then you didn't do it.
Out of the last 4 or 5 years, the only thing that came out of Survivor Series that I even liked remotely was that the New Day won the tag team Survivor Series match. So Raw didn't get, or was it Raw? Or,
yeah, it was Raw.
I think
didn't
it was
get
Raw.
the clean sweep.
Didn't get the clean sweep, and New Day came out with, you know, 7-1 shirts or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But, you know, because the tag team match, if you didn't see it, was on the pre-game or pre-show, and but yeah. Anyways, obviously,
they didn't count it. They didn't count it the whole time. It was crazy. So
yeah, they're like, oh, it's a sweep. It's a sweep. No, they won. They won the first match.
Yeah,
it was a sweep after that, but the first match was, you know. But anyways,
So let me ask you about this then. As long as we're on the topic, before we keep moving, you had Xavier Woods and Butch and the Fight Night crew, and then Xavier Woods says that he's going to bring on somebody that Fight Night is not going to like to help team up with the New Day. I've got no clue who they're talking about or who they're hinting at because I don't feel like they gave any clues. But do you think it's possible that Woods and Kofi team up with Gunther to take on Fight Night and then have the numbers advantage because Ludwig's on the outside and all three of Fight Night is on the inside? So they take a numbers advantage plus it's fucking Gunther, and then you can start the Gunther versus Fight Night storyline?
I mean, it would be interesting, and I think it'd be more, fan fiction type of thing.
Okay.
But to me, I think this is going to be a return.
Okay.
It feels like, like I said, I haven't watched in a while, but to me, this feels like this is a return spot. Who it is, I don't know.
It'd be amazing because no one's talking about it and it's been real quiet and hush hush. What if it's Cesaro?
I mean, that'd be great. Like, that'd be like a holy shit.
The last thing we've heard is that they were not able to negotiate on the contract, and Cesaro has not shown up anywhere else.
And his non-compete expired.
It's been up. And that's why people kept thinking he was going to be in the Owen Hart tournament. But what if here he comes back, it's Kofi and Woods, and you have Sheamus, Butch, and Ridge there, and then behind fucking New Day, here comes Cesaro, and you just have Sheamus get fucking pissed? I mean, the story's right there.
Yeah, I mean, like, that'd be amazing. And like I said,
Bruce, I know you're listening. Bruce, go ahead, give Cesaro a call, make sure it's happening.
Yeah, do it, book it. Heard it here first. But like I said, just from the feel of it, it feels like more of a return than somebody just coming over. Even somebody coming over from Raw. It feels like a return.
And the only hint we had is that Woods said that it's someone that Fight Night is not going to like.
Yeah,
I mean,
how,
and who
what
else?
more of it? Yeah, what more would it be of, hey, you were one of us. You were, it was me and you.
Yeah.
We started Fight Night type of thing with the bar.
Yeah.
The bar.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I like to see.
But anyways, real quick, and this is what kind of got me on the tangent of Survivor Series, when I watched Raw, was the Pinnacle or whatever the fuck they call Edge's group.
Judgment Day.
This seems Judgment Day. Judgment Day seems like a perfect Survivor Series team.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, even if it's, it'd be fishy on how you do the women in there, but they keep saying there's more members joining, this and that, and how do you stop the judgment?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, anyway, so that's where I kind of got on the topic this week, and, But anyways, going back. Yeah. Cesaro return right here would be fucking awesome. I think it'd be a huge pop. Friday night, Smackdown on Fox. The A show. Because Raw's definitely the B show.
Feels like it. The Max Dupree.
That was so fucking confusing, and I have no idea who the fuck that guy is, but I already want to punch him in his fucking throat.
Man, he's killing it then.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know who you are, but I feel like I need to punch you.
Yeah. Just want to fucking knock you out. Max Dupree.
Was he the dude that was with Aaliyah in NXT?
No, that's Robert Stone.
Okay.
Max Dupree was in NWA as Eli Drake, Shoes of a Champion, notably.
Okay.
And in NXT, he was LA Knight.
Oh, okay. Because he looked familiar, and I'm like, "Who are you?" And then he's like, "Oh, I'm looking for male porn stars." I'm like, Val Venus is not here anymore.
I think Maximum Male Models is an interesting name because, I mean, it's the MMM, Triple M. Like, I'm not sure what you do with it that's clever.
You turn it upside down and it's a website, baby.
Yeah, maybe. www.mmm.com, .org.
Yeah,
Here's the deal, though. To me, I've been saying it since I've seen him live. I don't know that there's anybody really truly better at any of this than this guy. Whatever you want to call him. Eli Drake, he made it work. I mean, it was his idea, but he made it work. LA Knight was also his idea, and he made it work. And people shit on LA Knight the whole time. They hated it. They said it sounded like a hockey team. I didn't particularly love the logo they gave him.
that's stupid because the Los Angeles Kings are a hockey team.
Yeah.
So that's stupid, but people aren't.
But he made it work.
So.
And it made it work. And he would go out there and he would do the thing. He does the point that he does. It's the 3 syllables. As long as he stays in 3 syllables, he can make it work. And he would do the thing, and the whole crowd would L.A. Knight, and they'd go yeah, and he can get the crowd. So the idea that his name is Max Dupree. To be honest, I like Max Dupree more than I liked L.A. Knight. But also, regardless of that,
you shit on L.A. Knight when he first came out.
I did.
Well, you hated the name.
Yeah. I hated the name, but I was also like, but I'm going to give this dude benefit of the doubt that he's got an idea here, and he made it work.
Oh, yeah.
He got the crowd on his side, and I think with Max Dupree, he's going to do the same thing. The only thing to me is that I don't know what you do with the 3 letters of MMM, especially if his name's Max. Max's Maximum Male Models. You know what I mean? Like, here comes, That's what it felt like to me.
Oh, I hope they don't lean on that. Like,
That's
it's coming out.
Yeah, I don't know, but there's
unless
nobody.
Unless they do like a Rick Rude type of thing.
Yeah.
And they come out and you can hear the ladies chant our name.
All I can say is that this guy, the performer under any moniker, is one of the greatest in the industry today, in my mind. And I'm willing to see what he's got, and I think he's going to get it over, and I think it's going to be what it is. But this was our introduction to him. It was a little weird. He's quite a close talker. He was right up in his face. He's like, I hope that motherfucker is chewing on gum and swallowed some breath mints, because if he had a cheeseburger seconds ago.
Tic Tac.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
if you had a
Lord.
blooming onion, fucking Outback.
Yep.
He's talking to you like this, like, hey, how you doing? Like, holy shit, back up, bro.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot of the stuff that's already happened here. The only other thing that we haven't talked about on SmackDown, we're going to talk about Raw right now, is because we talked about the main event and everything like that, was Raquel and Shotzi, the Aaliyah thing. What did you feel about any of that?
Well, like I said, I'm disappointed that we don't get a Giant Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love Shotzi. Big fan. I just don't like where she's at right now. But then again, it's one of those, hey, she's on TV. Is that a good thing? But
They let her talk a lot this time, and I thought her backstage segment was great. I thought the last couple times she's been back there talking, she sounded great.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not nothing, but yeah, it's not where I want her.
Yeah.
But it's something. We're getting somewhere.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. It's not where I want her. Like, I think she's a better talent than that. But it's weird because, I don't watch NXT regularly, but seeing Raquel, I thought she was like the bad guy.
Yeah.
And stuff, the heel. So to see her all of a sudden being babyface, I'm like, whoa, you have a giant babyface basically in the women's division. It feels. I'm curious to see where it goes, but it just feels a little awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Something about her has been real clunky.
I'm gonna pick you up and hold you like a baby, and bring you into the back after I beat your ass.
Yeah,
Just seems
it's a little weird.
Awkward, like I said.
I've been really confused by the Raquel presentation. Overly smiley, too nice and friendly, and I feel like I'm not feeling it the same way. But at the same time,
like
this isn't the final version, so we'll see how we get.
No,
there.
100%. And I you know, without the, comedy of her being Giant Gonzalez, like, how much would it, like, as an old wrestling fan, like, if she went toe-to-toe with Shotzi and just kind of looked at her and wanted to do, like, the test of strength, like, I would have been like, fuck yeah, that's a shout-out to the old school. Like, that's fucking awesome.
I agree.
And I think you can easily pull it off, and, it's a subtle, nod to, like I said, the old school, the pioneers, and it'll work.
I agree with that. Let's talk Raw. We talked a lot about Raw already, but let's start with the end. You had stuff you want to say about Becky Lynch versus Asuka?
Yeah, I mean, it was, a typical Becky Asuka match. You knew Bianca was going to get involved without a headset on, sitting ringside in, the computer chair. And, I thought it was what it was, but outside of the finish, it was decent. They botched the finish. I really wish Asuka would have kicked out and then Becky hit her with something to end it.
Well,
because the way they
Becky
came
rolled in with the umbrella and got spit on and then lost like that, yeah? Or no. I'm thinking of 2 weeks ago. You're right.
Yeah. No, they kind of just rolled in and Becky just kind of... It looked weird, but Becky tried to do like a finesse finish type of thing.
Yeah.
And just kind of pinned her.
Yes.
It wasn't even a roll up yet. I was like,
exactly.
She's kicking me out. Like that's
Asuka rolled in, and then
Yeah.
Becky goes for like a pin, and then just got the pin, and it was almost like,
and then it was over.
What? Yeah.
And I was like, it wasn't even a roll up. It was just it was
pin.
weird.
Yeah.
And
that
I was like,
really weird.
Pull the shorts. There was something that just needed, something misfired, and they didn't fix it before.
I know. When I was watching, I remember thinking, was she supposed to get the count out victory and Asuka didn't catch that? Because then like she rolls in and it's almost like Becky just says, "Stay down," and just goes
Stay
like,
down, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was almost just all like, "This is it," and it was like nothing in between. Like you would think that Asuka would run in and catch a manhandle slam, and then that'd be it.
Or even like, it would have been so great if she hit her with the curb stomp.
Yeah.
Like
catch her with a curb stomp and then boom. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was like, but like I said, like you said, rather, it almost feels like that wasn't supposed to be the finish. And it was Becky like, hey, we're out of time. Like, I have to pin you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it was really
and,
weird. It was strange.
And truthfully, I don't know. Because to me, it seemed like I said, a finesse finish. Like, Becky was trying, not so much a roll-up, but like one of those like pretzel pin type of things.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe them. I don't know what they're called. But like she tried that and then just kind of just held her down without holding her down. And then Asuka looks up like, "Are you kidding me? That's not three. That's not three." Like pissed off. I'm like, she didn't grab the tight. She didn't,
Yeah, it was
outside of that. Yeah, it was a decent match, but
yeah, it was good. We talked about Riddle, Street Profits, Usos, and Sammy. We talked a little about the Judgment Day, but you want to talk a little more about the Judgment Day? What do you think about this?
We didn't talk about the Riddle and Street Profits. We talked about that on.
Well, then talk about it. What did you want to say about Riddle, Street Profits against Usos and Sammy? I loved their intro there. I loved Sammy being a part of it. Sammy doing the We the Ones. Loved it.
Oh, yeah. That was all great. It was just, not watching it in a couple of months. Like, it was weird just seeing Riddle just thrown, with the Street Profits. And after, hey, RK Bro might be done. Randy might be done. He can't walk. It was weird just seeing the Street Profits there, and they didn't come out with as much hype and as much energy.
So Street Profits, you've been missing it, have been trying to be more serious? Well, what I should say is that Montez Ford is showing clear efforts of being taken more seriously when talking. Dawkins remains to be a clown, and then Montez remains to sell like a clown. But while he's talking and while he's coming out, Montez is trying to portray himself more seriously, and they haven't seemingly come together as a unit and said, this is our presentation now. Dawkins still comes out like an absolute goof. Montez comes out because he's serious now. But in the match, Dawkins will sell more seriously, but Montez will sell like a clown, and it's this mishmash kind of almost like a Harlequin, almost like a Rubik's Cube of like charisma here. Are we going for serious or are we going for clownish? Are we trying to be funny or are we trying to be taken seriously? Are we intense or are we goofs? And I feel like that they keep teetering back and forth to the point where anytime I get to the point where I'm thinking, okay, maybe we're going somewhere I can get behind, they say or do something where I go, all right, fuck it, forget it. I don't know why I was invested to begin with.
Right. Well, I felt that way when I first, the last thing I really saw with them is that I'm like, all right, this is going to be, you know, I thought the division of the two. But when, you know, because I was like, I felt that way before because I was like, Montez is coming out more serious and stuff like that, and Dawkins really isn't.
Yeah.
But it was just weird, you know, not seeing them, like I said, for a while. And then all of a sudden, hey, this is what we get with Riddle just thrown in there randomly.
Yes.
Even though Riddle has the storyline with the Bloodline.
Yes.
It felt like Riddle was the odd man out.
A little bit. It was a little weird, especially because the last couple times we saw the Street Profits is because they were talking shit on RK Bro and saying they wanted a title shot and then losing. So for them to be like, hey, let's team up now. It's like, team up with the losers? Like, it's weird. But
yeah.
The other thing is that I think Montez is constantly, like, in his matches trying to get GIFs to happen. And I get that there's, like, you know, meme world is real and being a meme and a GIF does get you a whole lot of eyes and stuff. But I feel like that the difference between being like a Ricochet-style GIF or like Sami Zayn being funny is I feel like that with Montez, his Superman dive, his diving and then dancing in people's faces, his Ultimate Warrior stupid rope thing, I feel like it reminds me more of when people mock wrestling and they say, watch this and try to tell me it's not real. Like, how can you say wrestling is fake when you see this? And then it shows, like, Santana with his snake puppet. I feel like Montez falls in that, where people see it and they laugh at it and share it and it goes viral. Santino. What did I say, Santana?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's also a goof. But
Supernatural.
I feel like that with him doing the Superman things, it's one of those like, oh, tell me it's not real when this guy's like flying around like this. And you go, yeah, I guess it's hard to argue that it doesn't look super fucking choreographed and dumb. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I want. And when people tag me in things or share stuff with me, I don't want it to be where I'm suddenly having to defend why this thing is actually cool or difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't defend it. I just say, hey, fuck you if you don't like it.
Yeah. I just go, okay. Especially if it's Ford, I go, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know his decision making. Yeah. But that's what it feels like to me. It's like, oh, how do I become a GIF? And then it's also like, well, the same way you become a joke. Or do something very impressive. Those are kind of your two options. Be a joke or be impressive. And he's leaned on joke. You know, is what it is.
Yeah.
We'll see where he is in a couple of years, because I think that we're gonna have a much different Montez after a while. I think something's gonna budge, you know.
Yeah, I almost want like a not so much MVP, but like a president like that to be like, hey, like a return of an old guy as a manager, almost like I don't want to say Godfather, but like, you know, if he came back as the Godfather, like. True, not so much as a pimp, but like a kiss my ring Godfather.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Hey, I'll take you under my wing and I'll show you. You know, like I'm like, oh fuck, like, that'd be fucking cool.
Especially given the Godfather storyline of being in Nation of Domination and stuff, where it's like, look, we can be serious. Like I got real fun after a while, but I started real serious, You know what I mean? Like, you could have them even lean a little bit on both of them. Like, it could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it's going to take, I want them to be a little more serious. I think they'd be easier to get behind if they were more serious. So what do you think about the Judgment Day? Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, Edge. We had them in a mixed tag against AJ Styles and Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, you missed it last week. You had AJ and Finn in a match against Damian Priest and Edge. And at the end, AJ and Finn did the too sweet. Liv was in the ring, and they kind of waved her over and said, hey, do it. And she, being a crazy person, Liv is such a crazy person. I love it. She's like, and then does the too sweet. And I was all like, love it. Love it. Yeah. She's a crazy person and excited, and she can't hide it. And it's great. But so a lot of people are talking, is it the Bullet Club? Is it not the Bullet Club? Who owns the rights to Bullet Club? Who's allowed to be Bullet Club? Just because two members who founded it are together, that doesn't make them... It's so funny to watch the IWC lose their mind over it.
Yeah, they overreact.
They overreact to the idea of seeing a pairing of people with a lot of history as a net positive, you know? But I think adding Liv to it is fucking cool. What do you think about this presentation of Edge, Damian, and Rhea?
Well, I can't stand his haircut. As soon as he cut his hair, I can't see him.
Yeah, he's done for. Take back the ring.
Yeah, there's no Edge there anymore.
Yeah.
No, I like it a lot. You know, because I saw a couple weeks back when Damian and Edge got together, I was like, a little like, I don't want to say confused, but a little like, all right, that's interesting. But then when I actually like looked at it and thought about it, I'm like, that actually makes a lot of fucking sense. Like, and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's fucking go with it. And then when Rhea was brought in, you know, I was like, everyone was like, oh, who's this? Who's this guy? This and that. And I was like, well, that guy's got boobs. It's not a guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's going to be Beth. I was like, fuck yeah, that's cool. And then there was Rhea, and I was like, oh, that's even fucking better. Like,
yeah, that's
awesome. Like, I was like, yes, they fit the mold. And now when they're, you know, now they're teasing more members and stuff like that. And it's like, fuck yeah, who else? Like, this would be fucking really cool. You know, I know they teased Liv. And I'm like, I don't want to see Liv there, but it'd be cool. AJ, I was like, that doesn't make sense. But, you know, whoever they pick, kind of rock star, you know, grunge type of thing. Like, you know, even when Edge was announcing, well, who is it going to be? This person, this person. When he mentioned Ciampa, I was like, fuck yeah, do it.
Ciampa would be cool. You know who I think no one's talking about that would be fucking perfect? It's T-Bar, the former Dominic Dijakovic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because he needs a repackage one way or another, and he can be anything you give him to be. He didn't do a bad job with T-Bar. The company did a bad job with Retribution.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that a guy like T-Bar being involved, whether they call him T-Bar, whether they drop it, call him Dijak, whatever they want to do, I think if he was in that group, you'd have some pretty great stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think that'd be great. Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Is Mace not in WWE anymore? Or?
Mace is going to be a part, so far as we can tell, Mace is part of Maximum's male models. So he's going to come out as a male model and hopefully do the helicopter and rope someone with his, well, whatever.
His magic mic.
His magic mic. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little confused of how it's going to be portrayed. I'm going to be honest. I'm excited for anything that the guy Max Dupree does, but I'm also like, I do not know what we're getting into.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pretty girthy tag team, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless they do it like Zoolander style.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like a mockery, almost like
maybe
Breezango. But then it's like, man, then don't get rid of Breezango. They did it perfect for them.
Yeah. All right. I'll give you that. Grim Reaper in the chat saying, hi, and the IIRonics returns. Hell yeah. Cheers to the Grim Reaper. But yeah, back on track a little bit. The Edge promo, my only issue with this teaming is that I really, really have a hard time buying Edge in this bad guy role at this point in his career. I don't buy into anything he's saying. I don't find it overtly clever to call the audience ugly and fat and stupid. I find it to be like entry level day one bad guy 101 stuff. Well, if you want the crowd to boo, call them stupid, and then they'll boo. And you say, okay, I feel like Edge is at a part of his career where he should be showing us nuances and how things are done on a high level. And I feel like what we're getting is bad guy 101. And to me, that underplays the actual abilities of Edge. And I believe more of Edge. And I think that as a fan base, we're booing him out of support and love for the guy, which is the opposite of a bad guy. We're not booing him because he's doing good bad guy stuff. We're booing him because he's asked us politely to boo him. And we're accommodating because he's one of our favorites. You know what I mean? Like that's how I'm feeling about it.
I can see that. I can easily see that because, and maybe that's the whole haircut thing. It's like, hey, you need to dive into it. Like, you know,
maybe
you're getting pity boos here.
Right? It feels like, especially like I think about it if you go to a local show and someone comes out with a microphone, they're going to say, this city sucks. You guys are all ugly. I'm better than this. I'm better than you. And you know it. I've been saying about MJF. When MJF does great heel promos, it's when he was digging into who he was as a kid and why he looked up to CM Punk and how that changed his whole demeanor. When CM Punk does, or when MJF does normal heel promos, they're not impressive because he goes, I'm better than you and you know it. I'm in better shape. You're ugly. You know what I mean? It's 101. You can get the same exact shit from a VFW.
Yeah,
the same exact shit locally.
The only thing I will say about MJF, because I've seen it a few times, it's kind of like grinded my gears, you know, Family Guy style. But I've seen a few where he's at like signings and somebody comes out with like legit fan art and then he like crosses it out and he's like, no, fuck this. And I'm like, dude, that's, you know, everyone loves it. And I'm like, dude, nah, you're just being a fucking asshole. Yeah. And I understand that's, you know, your gimmick, but now your gimmick is gonna lose you some shit, I think.
I think it's possible.
You know, and I'm like, because if it was me, like, if I did something like that, I'm like, yo, bro, huge fan, look at this, and he marked it out, I would fucking slap him. I would just be like, fuck you, you know.
As someone who draws their own fan art to take to things like, Suzuki was really cool and like super appreciative. Hammerstone thought it was dope. Nick Gage asked if he could keep a copy himself. I sent one to High Spots when I was getting it signed by Paul Heyman, and sent a second one and saying this is a gift. Paul Heyman can keep it should he want it. And they said they were going to have a video that would show him signing all the stuff that was sent. And I never saw the video, could never find it. High Spots is horrible, if I'm being honest. I'm not a big fan of them. But I did get the signature back and not the second one. So if he didn't keep it, someone else did. But he also retweeted it and liked it. Like, I mean, it says it means a lot when the people see it and they like it and respect it. Like Nick Gage asking if he could keep a copy because he was so happy with it. Like, pretty fucking cool. So yeah, if I went through the trouble of creating this art, depending on what it looked like, a print or otherwise, and they were to like, this is garbage and cross it out, it wouldn't make me feel too enticed to continue to spend money on somebody necessarily.
Yeah, and to me it was, you know, unless, because there's a restaurant here in town that, you know, cowboy restaurant type of thing, that if you wear a tie, they make a big stink about it. They'll cut the fucking tie. And people purposely either wear ties because they want that interaction, or they make somebody not knowing wear a tie because that's going to happen. And then they even say, hey, if you don't want this tie cut, we understand. Like, this is kind of our gimmick, if you will.
Yeah.
And they won't cut it. But they'll still do the whole thing and stuff like that. So when I see something like that, the one I saw wasn't even a print. Like, you could tell it was like a legit, like, you know, canvas, and guy put it in, you know, the effort into it. And for him to just cross it out, I'm like, dude, I understand that's your gimmick. And even if you want to keep the gimmick, like, where do
He
you draw
could
the
have
line?
written "This sucks" and signed it.
Yeah, and signed it. Yeah, and then instead he crossed it off, and I think he threw it off the table. And I was
Yeah.
like, fuck you. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, like he ruins the piece. Where he could have also been an asshole by just writing, "I hate this. This is terrible. This sucks. You're an awful artist." Signed MJF. But to damage the actual art of it all too is also like, okay, well, yeah, that's an extra step.
Yeah. And I saw him do something else with, like a figure or something like that.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was, and they're like, "Oh, sign this," and he just throws it off the table. And I'm like, dude, like, coming from the geek world, and, you know, like, you just ruined the value of said figure, even if you didn't sign it.
Yeah.
If he would have just said, "No, I'm not signing that. Fuck you. You know, get this garbage out of my face," without throwing it on the table, you still would have gotten the same response.
Yeah. Sammy Guevara's done the same thing. But
either way, sorry, another.
Yeah, either way. Yeah, so my feeling on Edge's promos right now is it's VFW 101, local wrestling 101. Hey, I want the audience here to boo me, call them ugly, and say that they're stupid. Okay, boo, awful. Edge is doing the same thing week after week, everywhere he goes. Oh, of course you guys wouldn't think this. You know who did it in a clever way? Chad Gable. When Chad Gable said, "I'm a 4.0," people booed, and he goes, "Of course this town would boo academic success."
Excellence,
yeah. That's a funny knock on the same concept. You can call them dumb without calling them dumb. Like Chad Gable did it masterfully. I'm going to celebrate myself, you'll boo, and I'll say that, of course, this town wouldn't respect what that accomplishment means because you guys don't know what that's like, right? Where Edge just literally goes out and goes, "Look in the mirror if you guys want to see awful." Okay. We're so good looking, you wouldn't know what that looks like. Okay. Of course this stupid town with hillbillies would think this. Okay, this is so basic. So basic. And that's my complaint is when I watch it, I go, I feel like I'm watching his first year as a bad guy. And he's better than that. He's a goddamn Hall of Famer for a reason.
He doesn't seem like somebody that's trying to usher in the new way. He just feels like somebody that's trying to get his footing in himself. And it's like you said, he's better than that. And I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So,
Outside of that, though, on a grand scheme, I think the idea of him being a part of a larger stable that's bringing up younger talent and teaching them how to do things in a really cool way, I think is awesome. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And maybe he's giving all the good lines to Rhea and Damian. That's possible because I think that Rhea and Damian are coming across better spoken on the mic than Edge, which is a crazy thing to say and think.
Yeah. And, you know, I think Damian because Rhea's Rhea. She's kind of got her footing already. She's floundered a couple times. But I think Damian coming up, I think he's floundered quite a bit.
Yeah.
So for them to put them together and say, "Hey, take him under your wing," this and that, you know, I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Fuck yeah, let's see where this goes. But like you said, with the generic, you know, "You guys suck. You guys are fat." You know, you want the mentor to be giving out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And like you said, he might be spending too much time on their lines. Because when they speak, all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, fuck yeah. They drive it home and it's, you know.
Which could even be the concept.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that might be what they're going for. And we're just playing into it and fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. It could easily be that Edge is going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to give you guys these great lines because people are going to think you're doing better than me." And if you can be perceived as doing better than Edge, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in the greatest wrestling match ever.
The greatest wrestling match ever. Yeah. So maybe that's the whole thing. And maybe we talked ourselves into it. And I'll tell you this much. If Edge were listening right now and it wasn't the whole thing, he'd be like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Now it is.
Because he's also smart enough, and I think everyone is. But, yeah. And again, I don't know if we have to keep saying it, but none of the stuff we say here to critique people are on the people and their actual abilities, the people they are, and all that stuff. And so we're spitballing, having a good time with our drinking buddies, having a couple of drinks, talking wrestling, and breaking it down because we like it that much. Not because we
Not
hate
until
it.
you- Yeah, not until you throw my artwork on the floor. Well,
Yeah.
I fucking physically assault you.
Fuck you, dude. Although, can you imagine, like, just for fun's sake, next time your kid brings you a drawing they did, just crumple it up and throw it away and say, thanks, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And just kind of like walk away. Thanks, buddy.
Fuck's this shit. You can do better. But anyways, like,
You're like,
that's
what the
I was
fuck
gonna
is that?
say
It's a giraffe.
about-
It's fucking not. That's why I asked.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not. Yeah. You're not passing with this one.
Mhm.
But anyways, what I was gonna say, you know, 'cause I don't think I got my point across with the whole restaurant thing, is maybe that's what the fans are trying to do. Is, hey, I want this interaction. I want him to, you know, this to happen. And if that's the case, then, you know, cool, you got your reaction.
yeah, sure.
But if it was a serious artwork and he threw it, oh, I'd be fucking livid.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I don't have anything to say about well, what do you think about the presentation of Veer Mahan?
I thought it was interesting that Lawler came out. I don't know if he was like a surprise thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't watching. It's weird because he feels like, I don't know how to put this. Like they're putting they put a German Shepherd in a fucking pug playpen.
Yeah.
And the pugs are just like, oh, okay, and the German Shepherd's like, hey, I'm a badass. I'm gonna tell you I'm a badass, and they're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Like
Something's not clicking.
Yeah, it's not driving it home as much as they would. And especially since, like, I don't remember when Veer was with Jinder, like, if he spoke much or if at all. But I was trying to, like, listen to, like, him speak here, and I'm like, to me, there wasn't, like, a language barrier type of thing. Like, like I'm like, he knows English. Like,
yeah, he's talking great.
because it's not like a, you know, with Shinsuke, when they're like, no, you know, he didn't say no habla English. I forgot what he said.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
yeah.
speaking English.
Yeah, where
and
he
they're like,
suddenly
"He
forgets
forgot a whole
English.
language." Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my god.
That's fucking
You
funny.
know, yeah, I was like, that was great. But like, I was like, he's speaking perfectly for when they ask him a question and he doesn't answer, he's almost teetering on that MJF, like, fuck you, I don't want to answer it, but without saying fuck you, I don't want to answer it.
Yeah. I think all I can say on behalf of Veer is I feel like he's putting 100% himself into this, and I think that that's a positive, and I think wherever they go after this will be the thing that clicks. I think that this is... We're watching a lot of growing pains right now. That's what it feels like.
They're trying something, it's not working like they want it or envision it, but next thing... Because I think he's gaining the trust of backstage. At least I hope he is. Because like, I think he's committed, you know, he's like, hey, this is me. I just wish he'd fucking, like, almost pull out a staged fucking, what is it, like the gender reveal fucking baseballs and just fucking chuck it at somebody's fucking head.
Yeah. I hate how he walks. He
Having
walks out. If you watch him walk out, he walks out like a child pretending to be buff, where his arms are out real far.
Oh,
and
yeah.
his chest is like puffed out, and then he just kind of like wobbles out there. He looks like a kid trying to walk and look like his action figures, because that's how the action figures are posed naturally.
It's Puff Daddy. That's how he got his nickname.
Oh, maybe.
When he was in middle school, he would puff out his chest and walk out all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how he got his nickname.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well,
but
so yeah.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that, but and dude, like, he's a big dude. Like,
he's big already, and he's
like, he doesn't need to do that.
And his whole life is so inspiring. Disney made a movie about him, and we're not leaning into that. The $1 Million Arm is about him.
Yeah.
So fuck, what do we do? Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Again, like you said, I think he's building good faith with creative and with the backstage and whatever that is. I think next we're going to get something that's going to be so easy to latch onto.
But dude, how easy would it have been? Because I couldn't remember the name of the movie, and now that you said $1 Million Arm, like, how easy would it have been if because DiBiase, is he in NXT or did he go to AEW?
He's nowhere.
Ted DiBiase. Oh, I thought he was in NXT for a while.
For a little bit, they did the $1 million championship with LA Knight and Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's where it was. Cameron Grimes. That's where I remember. But how easy would it have been, or how easy would it be if he was his
protege type?
Yeah, I don't want to say valet. What is it? Manager.
His manager. I'll even say this: you could get to a point
with the $1 million punch.
$1 million punch could do it. $1 million heart punch. Go back to the old heart punch thing. You could even. So LA Knight was calling himself the $1 million megastar. Mm-hmm. You could even have Max Dupree talk about adding $1 million megastar to his roster and repackage Veer there.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what the fucking Maximilian's male models is going to look like, but we could get there. We could get there. And that's what I mean. We have a. I don't know. We'll see. What do you think about Alexa Bliss's comeback?
I'm kind of confused. To be honest.
Yeah.
She's just kind of there. Like most people, when they come back, and especially, I think it has to do with, was it Crown Jewel that she came back for that match?
Yeah.
And then she showed up, had a match, and then was gone. Like, she just kind of seems there.
Yeah.
And then it seems like she's boosting up Nikki, like, hey, look it, like, I was once there, therapy works, and she's just floundering, truthfully. I don't know how long she's been back, but she's there, and that's it. And it's not a good thing.
It feels super staticky for somebody who's so talented. Her backstage segments and interviews are always on point. I thought this last one she did was awesome, where she talked about like, oh, look at how far me and Nikki have come. I have my doll, and she dresses like a superhero, and then she even kind of like pauses and goes, "It sounds a lot worse when I say it out loud than it is. Trust me, it's good."
Oh yeah.
It was so good and great. So funny and on point. But then like you get the match, and the match wasn't bad, but afterwards you go, I don't know that we've gotten anywhere. I don't know that we're going 100%. Anywhere. They just feel like these isolated bubble things,
The only thing that I think might be kind of cool is that if her and Carmella like had a thing. Well, my wedding was done. Like as bad as it would be, just two women bickering like fucking Real Housewives reality show style.
Yeah, but
like it's something. There's substance.
That's true. And I will say that Carmella is very open about her love of all the Real Housewife TV shows on her Instagram. She's constantly talking about them and gossiping about them. So if you were to pitch her something like, hey, it's going to be a little Real Housewife-wise, I feel like her eyes would bug. And she'd be like, okay, we could do this.
I'm in, yeah.
I'm in. But, yeah, something with substance. Because right now it feels like you could take it or leave it every time she does something. You go, great job. It's done nothing. You know what I mean?
Because right now, I think we're at a crossroads with Alexa and Lily characters. Because you either drop Lily or you dive right back fucking.
I think they still have Lily merch to move, if I'm telling you my honest opinion.
Maybe.
But
since the Fiend's returning at Hell in the Cell.
Ooh, he's definitely returning from Hell in the Cell.
Stupid tweet.
Yeah, we saw a really bad tweet.
I almost want to retweet it, but at the same time, I don't want to give that person any kind of, eyes. But for them to pull out that little fucking logo, look, it's the Fiend mask and the Hell in the Cell logo. You're like, what? According to who?
Such a stretch. It's crazy. It was so funny because it was like a couple of red wavy lines separated by a couple white wavy lines. And like that clearly is the Fiend's mask, and you're like, no, it's really fucking not.
Like it wasn't even close.
Not even close.
When I first looked at it, I looked at the close-up and I was like, I don't see it. Maybe I can see it on the far away. And I was like scanning the image. I was like, where's the far away? And I'm like, oh, it's right there. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no.
Nope. It's just 2 in 1, right? It's the eyes and mouth concept. Sort of like, there's been studies about it too, where like people who look at clouds and stuff, they constantly see people and shapes and things. Like your mind will create a thing to creative recognition, right? So that's why, like, if you look at like your wall with like the stucco weird things, if you look at it long enough, you go, oh my god, there's a face there, there's a face there. Because humans are so used to seeing other human faces, they add faces to things as long as there's two in one.
I've done that with other random things like pieces of wood and stuff like that. Yeah, where I'm like, oh, you know, cool, that looks like this, but I don't sit there and like fucking dive into it and be like, definitely, guys, you know, like what was it, the picture of Jesus in a Dorito or whatever that guy was trying to sell on eBay? And, oh, this is Jesus' Dorito. Like, you're like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, or like the old was it Close Encounters where he makes a mashed potato mountain? Goes, it means something. You go, yeah, it means you fucking are playing with your food.
Yeah, eat your fucking food, you brat. Anyways, off that tweet,
but moving along a little bit, I think that with Lily, what I do like is they've separated the supernatural from it and just had it be a thing she's carrying around.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like a security blanket concept, and they're not leaning too heavy on it, even in her promos and stuff. She's not sitting there going like, "Oh, Lily gives me the power. Lily does this." They've really separated power from Lily from objective Lily, and so I do appreciate that bit. I actually bought my first official Alexa Bliss T-shirt. It was the little Alexa Bliss in the straitjacket with the little padded thing behind it, the padded walls, and then it's the one she started wearing when she came out. And I was like, it was on clearance, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll throw that in." Because I had to get the Vince McMahon shirt.
I wouldn't mind seeing Alexa Bliss tied up. I'm just saying. Red-blooded American.
Could be. I don't. Where did I put the thing? Because I bought the Vince McMahon shirt that came with the $1 billion.
Yeah.
I had the $1 billion.
So you needed the free shipping.
Someone stole my $1 billion, dude. I just went broke.
Oh.
I was rich a minute ago. Now I'm broke. All right. Well.
Oh, the police.
Yeah, someone stole $1 billion from me. Oh well, it is what it is, man. That's my life now. But Sportsbeard coming in saying that we're running long today and says good to see the two of you. Cheers, Sportsbeard.
I normally run a little long.
We always go a little long. I don't think we're doing too bad. There's two things. We talked MVP and Bobby Lashley a little bit. I don't think there's a lot there other than it just keeps going, and it's fine, and they're all good at what they do, so it is what it is. The two things I wanted to get the most from you out of is, A, we'll start with this one and then go to the one to bring it on home. Ezekiel, Chad Gable, Kevin Owens, you've been catching bits and pieces of it. What are you gathering of this storyline?
I'm very confused.
Good.
Because I understand it because that's the whole concept of it. I grasp that. That is Ezekiel, Elias, this and that. Yeah. And I think Ezekiel, especially because the last time we saw Elias, since he died, rest in peace. Tears in my beers.
Tears in my beers for Elias.
I think Ezekiel would be perfect. Like he just seems the character. Like he's like when I first saw him, like he's teetering like Mark Marrow, like, fringe around Johnny B. Bad type of thing. And I'm like, fucking lean into it. Do it with and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I could see that. What I like is this is this is the one out of everything that you've missed. The one thing that I wish you'd seen all of is every time Kevin Owens has been on TV since WrestleMania. Because his storyline with Ezekiel is amazing. Ezekiel comes out, and Kevin Owens immediately goes, "You're a liar. You're Elias. You're lying right now." And then Ezekiel goes like, "No, that's my older brother. I'm his younger brother, Ezekiel." And they go back and forth, right? There's even a segment at one point where Ciampa's in the back. Ezekiel comes up and says something, and Ciampa goes like, "Thanks, Zeke. I appreciate it," right? Kevin Owens walks over and goes, No. He's a liar. That's Elias." And then Ciampa looks at Kevin Owens and says, "Hey, man, that mistake happens all the time. They're constantly getting confused. But that was his younger brother, Ezekiel." Kevin Owens stares at him for just a beat or two, just like a 1-2 beat, and then goes, "Why are you doing this?" Why are you lying to me? Why are you guys all pretending? Like, it's so funny. This, to me, is the most perfect storyline because it is the most meta fuck you IWC storyline I've ever seen. Where it's like, we're going to repackage a guy, and then we're going to have one person in the entire WWE universe be the guy who keeps calling it out. Be the guy who's always tweeting, "You mean LA Knight? You mean LA Knight?" You know what I mean? I'm not going to call him Scott Hall. He'll always be Razor to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, those guys. The guys who still call Sami Zayn Generico. The guy who still calls Kevin Owens Kevin Steen. And says, that's always who they're going to be to me. You can call him whatever you want. It's always Kevin Steen. Now you have a dude Ezekiel, and you have Kevin Owens going, you're a liar, you're Elias. And everyone else in their little universe is like, no, that's the younger brother. We said so. Like, so genius, dude. I love it.
Oh, yeah. No, like I said, when I first saw it, I was confused because I was like I saw bits and clips of it, like, online. Like, I don't read the dirt sheets and stuff like that, but I've seen a couple things where I'm like, they're like, oh, no, this is, somebody else. This is the same person. And I saw, like, side-by-side pictures, and like, I mean, it could be the same person. It could be somebody different. I don't know. Yeah. And I've never heard him talk or anything like that. But I was like, all right. And then, just seeing him out there, and I'm like, yeah, like, he needs to. Elias is dead. He's dead. They killed him. But like I said, I just want him to dive into the. Like I said, he's borderline Johnny B. Bad with his gear and everything.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to just do it, almost like Buffalo Bill style.
Yes.
Just like, ooh, and if he joined, then, even better. Like, but
yeah. One of my favorite lines he said was on one of those WWE exclusive, internet exclusive things, where it's this little video package of Ezekiel going into the arena, talking about what it meant to him, following in his brother's footsteps and all this stuff. And then he goes, Elias walked so Zeke could speak. And I fucking died laughing, dude. The walk with Elias walked so Zeke could speak. Like,
that's awesome. That is awesome.
Fucking
I like
poetic. Loved it. Fucking so on board. And not a shock when you really just pull back a little bit. The performer that played Elias, fucking amazing. As much as I talk shit about Bad Guy 101, Elias was Bad Guy 101 all the time. Go out there and say something bad about their sports team. But instead of saying Chicago Bears suck, instead of saying that Seattle Sonics are no good, he says...
That's why they moved to Oklahoma.
He said, it makes no sense. It makes as less sense as Seattle having a basketball team. And then that's it. Like, it was not just talking shit about their sports team. It was saying it in a clever way that made them think and then get pissed and then stay pissed and then get more pissed because now they're thinking about it more. Like, he said it in a way that wasn't like Mike Ditka sucks in Chicago. He was saying it was, you know what I mean? Like, that was high level shit talk.
Oh yeah, the way he delivered the Sonics reference was, it was a slap in the face with truth behind it.
Yes.
And that's where people were like, whoa, that's fucking similar, like I said, with MJF throwing actual artwork. Like, hey, I spent hours on that motherfucker. Like, there's a slap in the face, and then there's like, well, fuck you. Like, and that's what pissed people off. I was like, oh, fuck you then, and I haven't heard Ezekiel speak so much, but I mean,
he's been really super. Cool. He's been like good guy 101, but that's what I mean. Like, he's so good at it and so clever with it that, like, it's not a surprise he's making this work, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
All right, so the final thing I wanted to get your opinion on, because we haven't talked to you about it since it's all happened. We talked briefly about it earlier. The massive return of Cody Rhodes to WWE, fresh off of his AEW run. He shows up at WrestleMania. He's immediately in a match with Seth Rollins. He's now about to have match 3 with Seth Rollins in Hell in a Cell. I'm going to throw this part out here. The fact that during this past match on Raw, he gives his weight belt to a child up in the corner. Seth Rollins comes back, takes it from the kid. What's a bigger asshole thing to do than to take that from the kid?
Yeah.
Smacks Cody with it, just harshly. Cody grabs that weight belt back, stumbles away, and as he passes that same kid, gives it back to the kid without looking at him even. Just, this is yours, and walked off. That should have played off as such an over-the-top, cartoonishly good guy thing that it should have made you sick. But to me, was so perfectly done. You're just like, you know what? Fuck Seth Rollins. Cody Rhodes is the good. Is like, fuck. Cody Rhodes needs to take him. Like, it was so subtly masterful from a guy who I'm used to seeing cartoonishly in your face from previous iterations. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I'm very confused.
Or what part?
About Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was the return of Stardust.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Who's
hoping
Cody?
that he starts wearing more gold.
Yeah. No, I am absolutely thrilled that Cody's back. The thing on Monday, like you said, was fucking awesome. You know, he sat there and, you know, after everything goes and hands, like, the thing that I think drove it more so home for me than not even the, oh, look at, or not looking at the kids, like, here, this is yours, was that he stood up, he fucking hobbled over there, fucking walked over to the kid like he's fucking Hulk Hogan, open up your fucking vitamins, fucking Stone Cold opening up your beer, like, here, this is yours, and then he asked for help from the rest.
Yeah.
Now, all right, come on, I need help now. I can't make it the rest.
Yes.
You know, to me that drove it home. I was like, holy fuck, like that
Yes.
subtlety that was there. I was like, holy shit, like. Woo.
Yes. Because when he went to go pick up the weight belt from the floor, Aja was right there. Aja Smith was the ref of the match. And she's like, do you need help? Do you need help? And he said, no, trust me, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And he goes over there to be the strong hero and give the kid back his thing and look strong. And as soon as he did it, that was all I had.
Turns around. Yeah.
And then, he turns around, looks for her, and waves her over. Yeah.
Yeah.
And waves her over. Please come help me.
I need it now. Yeah.
Yeah. He
Like,
did,
to
like
me,
he,
that was like
yes.
that point or that part right there just drove it home. I was like, woo! Like, damn.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Like, holy shit.
Yes.
And, you know, just going back in general, I haven't watched, like, the surprise that Cody came back wasn't a surprise. You know, it was well speculated. But I think just seeing Cody's mannerisms and what I've seen from him being back, you know, especially at the WrestleMania match, gives a shout out to his dad with the bionic elbow, fucking does the Stardust cartwheel, and Corey, when he said, you know, oh, that's not reiteration, that's shedding the old Cody or something like that, I was like, fuck.
Shedding of the skin.
Like, yeah, I was like, holy shit, like, no, like, for him to say that right after that was fucking amazing. And I'm glad Cody's back. As much as people don't want to hear it, he's back home. I think he's back home. Like, I think Cody can be Cody. Like, I think it was mutually beneficial for WWE and Cody. Like, WWE didn't know what to do with Cody. They gave him the Stardust gimmick. Cody killed it. You know, what do we do? Legacy, all that bullshit. I don't know. He floundered heavily. For him to leave, do the indies, fucking rebrand himself, you know, do what he did in AEW, create a fucking mass following. And this was, even though it was widely speculated, I think WWE kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit on this, where Cody, I think there should have been some tweets like, I tried WWE, wasn't for me, you know, just throw a little swerve in there. But
Yeah,
this
his
was
silence was almost telling.
Yeah, this was almost equally of Hogan going to WWE.
Yeah.
Like, this was a big player in AEW. He helped them. He wasn't CEO, but I forgot his title.
EVP, dude.
There, EVP. And, for him to join the competition, but in my eyes, going back home was huge and is awesome. I'm very curious to see his reception in Chicago. Is there going to be a DX Army type of, AEW presence there? And when the first time they go to Jacksonville. But, even with his return, I texted you and we talked about it earlier, like, them pairing him up with Seth was fucking phenomenal.
Yes.
Like, Full House, I don't want to say Royal Flush, best hand in poker, but, like, holy shit, that was fucking great. Like, well played, perfect person to come back to across the board, dream match, wet dream match, if you will. Like, it was great. And, outside of his match on Raw, I think everything Cody has touched, it was the Midas touch. Everything's been gold since his return.
I feel like what Cody needed more than anything and became really evident throughout this was the biggest problem in AEW is that you only have yes men. Everyone just keeps saying, yes, it's good, yes, it's good. And so you end up in situations where you actually do bad because no one's willing to tell you it's not going to land right. It's not good. He would even say he would workshop promos and try them out and ask people what they thought, and they would say amazing every time, and that's how he would do them. Then they would go out there and just be fucking ripped to shreds, and everyone goes, yeah, I don't know why he would have said that. What is amazing about Cody is I think he needs the team around him for him to say, I want to do this, and they say, okay, but what if we tweak it like that? He needs a creative direction, and he needs someone who's willing to say, that's a bad idea, but that doesn't mean we can't make a good idea out of it, right? Where I think in AEW, you have a lot of bad ideas reinforced with more bad ideas, and no one's willing to say, look, I know you've been doing this a long time, but that's not going to land right. Look, I know you've got more experience than me, but I can tell you right now that's not good. Like, everyone's afraid to counteract someone. It seems like. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah. And, just reiterating your statement is, it's a bad idea, but the concept isn't terrible. We can work off of, what you're trying to get across and stuff like that. And, there's such a thing as constructive criticism. Like, hey, I like that, but, or no, try this, And like you said with the Yes Men in AEW, like, it's just anything I don't even want to say the talents, the higher ups, if you will. As much as they shit on Vince with it, AEW's fucking littered with it, and I hate I'm not trying to go down this path. I hate the AEW versus WWE thing. But, hey, the top dog says this is the bottom line. Yeah. And it goes to the point of, going back to Sasha and Naomi is, hey, we don't necessarily agree with this. Is this the right way to handle this disagreement? Probably not. But let's talk about this more.
Yeah.
And in AEW, it's just, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I want AEW to exceed. I love a lot of their talent. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, outside of the match with Miz for the 4 or 5 glaring botches that happened.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
Cody's been nothing but solid.
Yes, and it's been amazing and been refreshing to see him this way,
Yes, and truthfully, people may not like to hear it, but what Cody's accomplished in the last 2 months that he's been in WWE has overshadowed everything he's done in AEW.
I would say the only argument I could make against that is the match he had with his brother at Double or Nothing, which was 3 years ago. and still remains to be the best match that they've ever put on, and still remains to be one of the best stories they've ever put on. But I would say that's the only argument I have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
because
he had 3 years after that, and I couldn't argue that. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Is to me, it's not so much like it was such a while ago, and yes, that was amazing, and yes, that was, you know, top of the line, and it was great. But the last 3 years after that has overshadowed that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's understandable. You know, what I think about it, what's interesting about Cody is I think he highlights the just by his pure existence and what he's been doing, he's highlighting exactly what's best and worst about AEW. He's highlighting that even talent who has the potential and incredible doesn't have the balance. But he's also highlighting that, like, the freedom to do what you'd like is massive, right?
Yeah.
But it shows the downfall and the upside of both. Like, it's like he's such an incredible, almost like a case study of like what can someone do unchecked versus how far can someone fall unchecked, and does that really impact or influence or even highlight what they're capable of? We're seeing Cody was capable of so much higher than he was even doing there because he was unchecked. You know what I mean? Like, arguably, like, I mean, we don't know everything, but it's almost like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, and that's what gets me with, you know, the AEW marks, you know, that they're, you know, commonly called, but like they shit so heavily that I've seen on this match that he had with Miz. Oh, Cody says, "Look what I've learned in the Indies," and, you know, tries to do it with the Miz, and it didn't work. It happens, you know, and I'm not, you know, giving him a pass on that. It failed. Yes. You know, you take your bumps and you learn from them and you move on.
Yeah.
But you have all these people all of a sudden, and this is what gets me, where you're so one way or the other, similar to politics, and, you know, there's a lot of people in the middle that people don't want to recognize.
Yes.
That, you know, you may not like that Cody joined WWE. And that's fine. But don't sit there and all of a sudden shit on somebody you've been cheering for the past 3-4 years.
Yeah.
You know, just like Miro, just like Mox, just like Kalisto, one of my son's favorites. They joined a different company, and that's fine. You know, I wish them the happiness on wherever they go. I'm not going to shit on them. I'm not going to all of a sudden now be a critic of them instead of being a fan. Like, I want to see what they can do. Let's, you know, build them up. If more people were in the middle, if you were, and building up, hey, I liked what they did over here, I don't like what they did over there, and vice versa, that's fine. But to just be one side or the other, that's, like, it's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the biggest proponent of the one-sided behavior, I think, actually is kind of telling that the Dave Meltzer and all of his followers and fans, if you really want to look at like star ratings that he's been given and the awards he gives out, Daniel Bryan stopped getting 5-star matches the day he joined WWE. He didn't have a single 5-star match the entire time he was in WWE. His first match outside of WWE, it's insane. His first match outside of WWE, 5 stars. His matches ever since have been 5 stars. The Bryan Danielson Award, which was awarded to the greatest technical wrestler of the year every year, Bryan Danielson stopped winning it the day he joined WWE and never won it again. Like, he might win it this year because he's not there. Like, the idea that the bias isn't there is at this point laughable. Like, his bias is there. If you can appreciate that there's a bias, you can have a conversation, right? Like, we talk about it all the time. I'm biased towards this or that, so let's talk about what I liked and where my bias lies, right? Like, the idea that people think of him as an unbiased reporter at this point is laughable, but I think it also feeds into that divide, right? Like, I think the conversation becomes more interesting in saying, I've always liked Daniel Bryan. I liked him in Ring of Honor. I like him in WWE. And for some reason, this run in AEW is not clicking, makes for an interesting conversation of, well, what's different because we know he's capable, right? Where most people are just being like, nope, I love everything he's doing in AEW, hated everything he did in WWE, and you're like, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, and like I said, I fucking hate it, but it's fucking politics 101 right there. Like, everything we just discussed is fucking politics in America right now. you're for this side, you're this side. You can't meet in the middle. If we meet in the middle in both AEW and WWE and politics, like, I think a lot of more shit would be solved and a lot more shit would be enjoyable than people want to fucking admit.
Yeah. Yeah, because there has to be that conversation, right? You can't have a conversation. You can't figure out what's wrong if you can't conversate about it. And if you start with, well, I hate everything they did because they're here, and I loved everything they did because they're here, then you can't really break down, well, what's different? Well, the company.
Yeah,
okay, well, that's not helpful. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If that's the only fact, then you're not helping your case, and you're not. Yeah. Like, hey, let's talk about it. Hey, I don't like this, but tell me why you like it, and then I'll see it from a different point of view, and then let me look at it. And if I still don't like it, it's just not for me. And that's fine. But if all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I see where you're coming from now. Holy shit, I do enjoy this more. Maybe not 100% like you do, but I do now see that different perspective. Great. And let's fucking meet in the middle. Let's fucking have a fucking beer together and fucking just talk
about it. And even then, like, people who don't want to understand, and we talked about it from the top, I don't understand where a lot of this comes from. You have to at least try, right? Because you can disagree. It's easier to disagree if you understand than it is to disagree if you don't understand, right? Like, if I understand exactly where you're coming from and disagree, then we can have a conversation and we can maybe figure out what's best for both, right? Where if I refuse to see it from your point of view and I refuse to understand where you're coming from, then nothing I say is going to be poignant in changing your mind or changing my own. If I disagree with you, I'm going to want to change your mind, right? Because I want you to agree with me. But if I don't understand where you came from, I don't know how to change your mind. And I think that people lose that concept a lot, right? I have to understand where you're coming from if I'm going to get you to agree with me. And if somewhere in the middle I accidentally agree with you, then at least we're making progress, right? Like, but not to get off too political here, I think we've had a pretty cool catch up with Kevlar. It's been a while. We have run a little long. I don't mean to end on a sad note, but this just came through a little bit ago. Our buddies down at Ring Scoops Media, I've been doing some recap reviews of Smackdown for Ring Scoops as well. You can check them out, ringscoops.com. But they did bring it to our attention here that Adam Henderson, also known as Brute Barreto in SoCal Wrestling, passed away. Wade from Ring Scoop says he met Adam during training in 2011 and thought he was a really cool dude, funny guy, very kind. I'm not familiar with him. I'm sure we'll hear maybe from Amanda tomorrow. Maybe she's familiar with him. So hopefully we can get some cool stories out of it. But hearing of the passing of a guy, and from judging from these pictures, he's very young. So absolute horrible tragedy to lose a member of the wrestling scene. So tears in our beers to Adam Henderson, Brute Barreto. We'll see you down the road. And sorry to hear about that. So, Kev, awesome to have you back for an episode 1. It's been a while. I know you got things to do tonight, so we don't want to keep you any longer. We have run long, so I appreciate all the drinking buddies who have come through and hung out and had a drink with us. But at the end of the day, it's about hanging out with our drinking buddies, having friends and drinks and talk. And I think we did that today. So, guys, give us a follow, give us the like, go to New Wave Coffee, NOOWAVE.co, and pick yourself up some Flow State coffee. Promo code Cheers, get an additional 10% off. They've got K-Pods now, and he's got more stuff coming along the line. So definitely check it out. We'll be back tomorrow night right here in the dive bar of the IWC for a brand new episode 1. Guys, I think that's the last call.
Cheers.
Please support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the block.